Chapter 1307, Jiang Country's Northern Territory, Great Dream Marsh. The Great Dream Marsh is an immense expanse of water, boundless and endless, shrouded year-round in a layer of hazy mist, affecting not only sight but also obstructing the divine sense of cultivators. Although rumors say the depths of the Great Dream Marsh are extremely perilous, a forbidden zone of absolute danger, many cultivators still venture here. On the one hand, the Great Dream Marsh is rich in aquatic resources, providing a livelihood for both cultivators and ordinary people through fishing. On the other hand, aside from the Great Dream Immortal City, one of the three great immortal cities of Jiang Country, the Great Dream Marsh is dotted with countless islands. Among these islands, some even contain spirit veins. Even if they are just first-grade spirit veins or unremarkable ones, they are incredibly precious to loose cultivators. Finding an unclaimed spirit island allows one to become its island master, establish a family or force, and settle down securely. However, over the years, even the slightly better spirit islands in the Great Dream Marsh have already been claimed. At this moment, the night is serene. Moonlight pours down from the heavens, illuminating the shimmering lake surface. By a large black reef, a radiant, flawless lotus of emerald hue, gleaming with crystalline luster, slowly drifts out. This lotus seems to lack roots and stems, drifting freely with the flow of lake water. If a knowledgeable cultivator spotted this lotus throne, they'd instantly recognize it as the priceless heavenly origin emperor lotus of the cultivation world. Currently, within the heavenly origin emperor lotus, a man and a woman are tightly entwined, their surroundings suffused with a flowing five-colored radiance. Above the man's head, a vibrant sun shines brilliantly. Above the woman's head, only a faint, ethereal moon glimmers weakly. The two form an invisible alchemical furnace, the sun and moon cycle in harmony, merging seamlessly. Pure, dense nature's spiritual energy pours down like raindrops, drenching Lu Changsheng's muscular, well-proportioned, aesthetically perfect body. Boom, boom, boom. In addition to the external floods of spiritual energy, Lu Changsheng's internal nascent soul origin combines with the primordial yin origin obtained through dual cultivation with Chu Qingyi, surging into his qi ocean core, causing his golden core to radiate brilliance, erupting with powerful five-colored radiance, forming a terrifying spiritual pressure. Boom! For months ago, Lu Changsheng's cultivation level had just broken through to the golden core second layer. Now, relying on the dual origin power, his cultivation has directly reached the golden core third layer. Yet, this is far from the end. The surging energy continues to flow madly through his flesh, limbs, and bones, driving his yin-yang creation classic to operate frantically on its own. It hurts. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A soft, hoarse voice suddenly echoes. Lu Changsheng looks at the disheveled hair and pale complexion of the beauty before him, her brows furrowed tightly, realizing his breakthrough earlier caused him to lose control of his power. Having cultivated the 100 Refinements treasure body art, his physical body is as strong as a demon king, and despite his careful restraint, Chu Qingyi has suffered significantly throughout the process. Otherwise, this usually silent sword immortal child would never have voiced her pain. "I'm sorry," Lu Changsheng speaks gently in a soothing tone, his chest's 9 treasures rui bone radiating brilliance, alleviating Chu Qingyi's discomfort while continuing the operation of the sun-moon samsara technique. Chu Qingyi, her pale and tragic beauty accentuated, softly moans as she crinkles her delicate nose, her eyebrow furrowing. Her exquisitely carved snowy feet tense up, her toes curling, almost aligning seamlessly with her sleek, round calves. Moments later, her brows relax, and her slightly parted captivating eyes shimmer faintly with waves of seductive charm. Upon returning to Qingyun sect, Yun Wanshang hurried directly to the sect's ancestral hall. In Qingyun sect, disciples who enter the inner sect or break through to foundation establishment are required to leave behind a life-bound token or soul lamp. A soul lamp allows one to sense danger and roughly identify a disciple's location for rescue. Furthermore, if a disciple were to betray the sect, one can use the lifebound token or soul lamp to cast specific secret techniques for capture or curse execution. Junior Sister Kang, what brings you here? The Qingyun sect leader hastily arrives upon hearing the report. The Ancestral Hall is a restricted area in the sect. Even Yun Wanshang, as Master of Kaiyun Peak and Enforcement Hallmaster, cannot enter freely. The Tianyuan secret realm has undergone an anomaly. Qinjia's life is uncertain. I must enter the Ancestral Hall to inspect her soul lamp. Yun Wanshang's ruby lips slightly part, her tone icy and resolute. What? The Qingyun sect leader is visibly shocked at this announcement. He is well aware that Chu Qingyi was brought to the sect and raised by Yun Wanshang from a young age. The two share a bond akin to mother and daughter despite their master-disciple relationship. Now, with Chu Qingyi in danger under arrangements made by the sect, Yun Wanshang might harbor grievances. Moreover, Chu Qingyi possesses a born sword heart, advancing rapidly in cultivation, breaking through to golden core before reaching a century in age, and showing remarkable potential for the future. If she truly encounters an accident, it would be a significant loss for Qingyun sect as well. Without hesitation, he retrieves his sect leader token, combining it with Yun Wanshang's Peak Master token to unlock the Ancestral Hall's formation and enters the Grand Hall. The outermost layer contains soul plates belonging to inner sect disciples and the sect's stewards. Further inside lies soul plates and soul lamps belonging to sect core members and foundation establishment disciples and executors. Upon entering the innermost palace, one finds the soul lamps dedicated to the nascent soul immortals. Moments later, Yun Wanshang and the Qingyun sect leader come across a dim, flickering soul lamp, akin to a dying flame in the wind. This is Chu Qingjia's soul lamp. Seeing the soul lamp, the Qingyun sect leader instantly knows Chu Qingyi is gravely endangered, in a life-and-death crisis. He immediately says to Yun Wanshang, Junior Sister Kain, I will notify Junior Brother Du right away to calculate Qingjia's location. Thank you, Senior Brother sect leader. Yun Wanshang gazes at the soul lamp before her, lightly biting her ruby lips, her slender, jade-like hand tightly clenched. Suddenly, as if she recalls something, she leaves the Ancestral Hall for Kaiyun Peak, transmitting her voice toward Mingyue residence to Xianxia. Xia, come see me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1308. A moment later, Xianxia arrived at the mountaintop, clad in snow-white garments. Her face was cold and aloof, as if she embodied the bright and unblemished moon. Seeing the unparalleled beauty before her, wearing a vibrant palace dress, with an air of nobility and elegance, Xianxia bowed deeply and said, Master. Xie, Lu Changxing encountered an accident in the Tianyuan secret realm. Go to by Lake Mountain and see if he left behind a soul lamp or lifebound token. Yun Wanshang looked at Xianxia standing before her, sighed softly, and said, If he did not, then bring back one of his commonly used items. What? Upon hearing her master's words, Xiaoxia's slender figure trembled violently, and the detached mindset of the supreme forgetful love technique she cultivated instantly collapsed. With a look filled with disbelief, she spoke, Master, are you saying that Changxing encountered an accident in the Tianyuan secret realm? Alas, Yun Wanshang gazed at her disciple's expression and sighed deeply in her heart yet again. The supreme forgetful love technique placed the utmost importance on mental fortitude. Her disciple had cultivated this technique for years, maintaining a demeanor that was unmoved by emotions and untouched by sentiment. Now, upon hearing news of Lu Changxing, her composure shattered in an instant, and her Dao heart trembled. This showed that the seeds of emotion had taken deep root, and there was no turning back. If something truly happened to Lu Changxing, if he were to perish, then her disciple's cultivation path would likely be utterly severed. Yet, when Yun Wanshang thought of the potential death of Lu Changxing in the secret realm, a strange sorrow stirred within her heart as well. The Tianyuan secret realm experienced an anomaly, and Lu Changxing's status is now uncertain. He has not emerged from the secret realm, which is why I am asking you to visit by Lake Mountain. Afterward, I will ask Elder Du to perform a divination regarding Lu Changsheng's condition. Yun Wanshang's expression remained dignified and serene, her voice soft as she spoke. The secret realm experienced an anomaly, and he has not emerged. Xianxia let out a slight breath of relief at her master's words. Alive, she must find him. Dead, she must see his body. As long as she hadn't seen his corpse, she refused to believe that Lu Changsheng had fallen. Initially, upon hearing her master say that he had met with an accident and instructing her to check the soul lamp and lifebound token at by Lake Mountain, she had assumed the worst. Master, do we know what kind of anomaly occurred in the secret realm? And what kind of accident Changsheng encountered? Lightly biting her lip, Xianxia asked softly. She stood there in a moon-white dress, her dark hair gently flowing, her breathtakingly beautiful face devoid of cosmetics, yet surpassing all mortal beauty. Her usually serene and detached eyes now rippled like a turbulent mountain spring, filled with waves of emotion. If the disciples of the Qingyun sect were to witness the usually aloof and cold fairy Shiyu, who was like the nine heavens' bright moon, caring so deeply for a man, their hearts would surely shatter, convinced they were hallucinating. Even Yun Wanshang, Xiaoxia's own master, couldn't help but sigh at the sight, wondering what kind of allure Lu Changsheng possessed to have bewitched her disciples so thoroughly. The Tianyuan secret realm has collapsed. A corpse monster with power comparable to a nascent soul emerged. As Lu Changsheng fled toward the exit, he was suddenly hunted by a core formation cultivator. His whereabouts are unknown, and he has not emerged from the secret realm. Yun Wanshang did not withhold anything and spoke plainly with her rosy lips. Hunted by a core formation cultivator? Xiaoxia furrowed her brows slightly, finding this rather puzzling. She continued to inquire, Master, why would Changsheng be targeted by a core formation cultivator? And has this core formation cultivator emerged from the secret realm? What is their current status? The exact details I am unsure of. The core formation cultivator has also not emerged from the secret realm, but we cannot rule out the possibility that he used some method to escape unnoticed. Yun Wanshang replied calmly. Though a heaven and earth net had been laid outside the secret realm, the emergence of a nascent soul true lord led to a chaotic battle, causing many measures to be destroyed, and perhaps, someone might have taken advantage of the situation to slip away. Sarch * the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Understood. Xiaoxia gently pursed her lips, deep in thought, believing that Lu Changsheng was likely unharmed. Partly because of the trust she had placed in him over the years, and partly because she had faith in his abilities. No matter how brief his time in the core formation stage had been, she believed Lu Changsheng was no ordinary core formation cultivator. Master, is senior sister safe? At that moment, Xiaoxia, recalling the anomaly in the secret realm, thought of her senior sister who was tasked with guarding the realm and voiced her concern. Your senior sister has also encountered an accident. Her situation is perilous, and her whereabouts are unknown. Yun Wanshang sighed deeply. How can this be? Xiaoxia's expression turned to one of shock. She hadn't expected that not only was Lu Changsheng missing, but even her senior sister Chu Qingyi was now unaccounted for. If it were said that Lu Changsheng, pursued by a core formation cultivator, was missing with life or death uncertain, it might be understandable. But her senior sister, as a core formation true pill master of the Qingyun sect, should have been brought out of the secret realm by the Qingyun disciples or other core formation true pill masters, even if gravely injured or worse. Your senior sister was in a dire situation and was rescued by a sword cultivator. But who would have thought this sword cultivator would take her into the depths of the secret realm? When the realm collapsed and shattered, they did not emerge. Yun Wanshang's clear eyes flickered slightly as she spoke. If Qingyun sect disciples hadn't witnessed the scene, she might even have suspected that true Master Lingfeng was deceiving her. A sword cultivator, venturing into the depths of the secret realm? Xiaoxia's cold, moonlit eyes stirred with a trace of peculiar emotion. Lu Changsheng had disappeared. Her senior sister had disappeared. The core formation cultivator who pursued Lu Changsheng had also vanished. Her senior sister had been rescued by a sword cultivator and was now missing. If that sword cultivator were Changxing, a thought emerged in Xiaoxia's mind, and everything seemed to suddenly make sense. After all, she was well aware that Lu Changxing had practiced sword Dao techniques in his early years. Although he later switched to cultivating other techniques, disguising himself as a sword cultivator should not be difficult, should it? She asked, "Master, was that sword cultivator also a core formation cultivator? Why would he rescue senior sister?" "Yes, that person was a core formation cultivator. His methods appear to originate from a different nation's loose cultivators. As for why he rescued Qingyi, I have no idea. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1309. Yun Wanshang shook her head. This was also the part she couldn't figure out. Why would a core formation sword cultivator appear in the secret realm, and even go so far as to save Chu Qingyi? The only possibility she could think of was that the other party coveted her disciple's sword cultivation inheritance. At that moment, Yun Wanshang noticed that Xiaoxia didn't seem as grief-stricken anymore. Though Xiaoxia cultivated the supreme forgetful love technique, maintaining a serene state of mind unshaken by emotions, as her master, Yun Wanshang knew her well enough to understand that whenever her disciple mentioned Lu Changxing, she seemed like a completely different person. There was no way she could have calmed down so quickly. Could it be that Xia knew something? Knew that Lu Changxing was unharmed? Yun Wanshang's delicate brows furrowed slightly as she suddenly recalled an incident from years past. When Chu Qingyi was investigating matters related to the Xiahou family, she was hunted down by Xiahou Wu, poisoned by corpse toxins, and rescued by a loose cultivator named Han Li. Later, Yun Wanshang discovered that this so-called loose cultivator, Han Li, was actually Lu Changxing in disguise. Beyond this, she remembered Chu Qingyi once telling her that when this Han Li used sword qi to expel the poison for her, their sword hearts resonated, and he praised her for her extraordinary talent in the sword Dao. A sword cultivator. Lu Changxing was a sword cultivator? Could it be, Xia, do you know something? She fixed her gaze on her disciple and asked aloud. Under Yun Wanshang's penetrating stare, Xiaoxia felt as though her very soul was being laid bare. She knew her master had likely already deduced something by asking such a question, but she wasn't certain how much her master actually knew. Considering the gravity of Lu Changxing's secret, she softly replied, "Changxing once received a sword Dao inheritance. So I was thinking, the sword cultivator who rescued senior sister, could it perhaps be related to Changxing, related to Lu Changxing?" Yun Wanshang looked at Xiaoxia before her, her gaze as deep and unfathomable as a pool. If this core formation sword cultivator was connected to Lu Changxing, or rather, was Lu Changxing himself, then that would be truly astonishing. She recalled the first time she met Lu Changxing years ago. At that time, he was merely a little cultivator at the 4th level energy refinement stage. Yet in just a few years, he had already reached the peak of qi refining, excelling in both the law body and Taoist body. By the 3rd time they met, he had achieved foundation establishment mid-stage cultivation. Now, decades had passed, and though his cultivation seemed stagnant on the surface, she had sensed during their dual cultivation sessions that he was hiding his true progress. He had likely long since broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. But a breakthrough to core formation, wouldn't that be too incredible? Even if Lu Changxing were at the peak of foundation establishment, she might have been able to understand. But where would a mere clan cultivator like him acquire the core formation spiritual objects or a Daoist site to achieve core formation? Unless Lu Changxing possessed a heavenly spiritual root, or was in fact blessed with a supreme Taoist body. A supreme Taoist body. Yun Wanshang's mind raced for a moment before she turned to look at Xiaoxia and said, head to Bai Lake Mountain for now. She knew Xiaoxia likely had some knowledge but wasn't willing to reveal it, so she didn't press further and decided to seek others to divine the situation instead. "Thank you, master." Xiaoxia bit her lips softly, bowed respectfully, and turned into a streak of escape light as she departed Kaiyun Peak for Bai Lake Mountain. If this sword cultivator really is Lu Changxing, Yun Wanshang watched Xiaoxia's departing figure and recalled the time when she had been afflicted by the Red Phoenix Karma Fire, only to be saved by Lu Changxing, forging a deep connection between the two. Her disciple Xiaoxia had been ambushed and rescued by Lu Changxing, who, to repay the karmic debt for saving her life and aiding her cultivation, had offered to assist her own foundation establishment with her spiritual body, and then, just as the thought surfaced, Yun Wanshang dared not think further and shook her head to dispel the notion. Qing Yun Sect, Ancestors Hall. See the novel, Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Junior brother Du, how is it? The Qing Yun Sect leader and Yun Wanshang looked at the purple-robed elder before them and asked aloud. Phew! The purple-robed elder had a somewhat weary expression. Exhaling deeply, he cupped his hands slightly and said, Sect leader, a certain mysterious force is obscuring heaven's secrets. Even with the soul lamp, I am unable to divine true person Kinjia's whereabouts or situation. Obscuring heaven's secrets. The Qing Yun Sect leader and Yun Wanshang exchanged glances, both seeing the gravity in each other's eyes. Although they didn't understand the art of divination, they knew that there were numerous methods in the world capable of interfering with or disrupting heavenly secrets. For heavenly secrets to be obscured meant that the place where Chu Qingyi was located had some unusual issues. With the collapse of the Tianyuan secret realm, those trapped inside could potentially have been drawn into the Great Void. And the Great Void naturally had the chaotic property of obscuring heavenly secrets. Junior brother Du, thank you for your efforts. The Qing Yun Sect leader courteously spoke to the purple-robed elder, understanding that divinations and such matters couldn't be forced. The effort spent on calculating Chu Qingjia's situation had clearly consumed a significant amount of the elder's vitality, and he would require a long period of rest to recover. Sect leader, you are too kind. The purple-robed elder cupped his hands slightly and then took his leave. After the elder departed, the Qing Yun Sect leader continued. Junior Sister Kain, don't worry. I will immediately inform the Supreme Elder and request Senior Bu Swansea to take action, making another attempt to divine Kinjia's situation. Divination, of course, had varying levels of mastery. Although this purple-robed elder was one of Qing Yun Sect's top diviners, his skills were not particularly profound. Sect leader brother, there's no need for that. I will head to Heavenly Sword Sect later. If Qingyi has indeed been drawn into the Great Void, only a true monarch will be able to rescue her. Yun Wanshang shook her head and spoke decisively. Very well. The Qing Yun Sect leader nodded, knowing that the Tianyuan's secret realm matter was primarily under the leadership of the Heavenly Sword Sect. Now that such an incident had occurred, it was both reasonable and necessary for Heavenly Sword Sect to assist. Moreover, the Xianjian true monarch from the Heavenly Sword Sect was not only a sword cultivator but also proficient in the art of divination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1310, By Lake Mountain, Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. After Xiaoxia arrived at By Lake Mountain, she informed Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, and others about the Tianyuan's secret realm and Lu Changsheng's situation. What? Changsheng is missing in the Tianyuan's secret realm. How could this be? When Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyan heard this, their expressions grew solemn, their faces full of worry. Being chased by a nascent soul immortal? Ling Zixiao frowned slightly, her expression odd. Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyan might not understand Lu Changsheng's combat prowess and have always thought their husband was mild-tempered and not adept at violence. But she knew very well her husband's methods. At the initial stage of Foundation establishment, he had deployed talisman formations to suppress and kill 5 Foundation establishment cultivators. By the late stage of Foundation establishment, he could easily slaughter a false core immortal and calmly escape from a 3rd-rank demon king. Now, having broken through to core formation and condensed the immortal golden core, you say he's being chased by a nascent soul cultivator? If anything, the nascent soul cultivator should be the one being chased by her husband. Yes, but I heard from my master that a sword cultivator appeared in the secret realm and saved senior sister, so I suspect that this nascent soul sword cultivator is Changxing. However, at the time, the situation was urgent, and Changxing was unable to reveal his identity, so he took senior sister and left the secret realm. Xianxia continued, sharing her speculation, indicating to the other women not to worry too much. A nascent soul sword cultivator. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun relaxed a little, but their beautiful eyes still showed hints of concern. Seriously injured, however, Ling Zixio's expression grew even stranger at these words. She thought, if this were true, wouldn't Lu Changxing returning mean another sister would join their ranks? After all, given her husband's incredible luck in romance and this classic hero-saving damsel scenario, it seemed unlikely for the two not to develop something more between them. Moreover, if this nascent soul sword cultivator truly was her husband, would he let go of this fairy Qingyi? Ling Daoist, what's the matter? Xiaoxia felt Ling Zixio's gaze toward her was inexplicably strange and asked aloud. Nothing. My husband hasn't left behind a soul lamp, soul plate, or any life-bound artifact at home. Ling Zixiao shook her head and said, however, she turned towards the cave heaven and respectfully called out, Senior Mount Sumeru, do you know my husband's situation? The Mount Sumeru Tree King was her husband's contracted spiritual beast, and the connection between the two might provide some clues. The master is unharmed, Mount Sumeru replied. CTH Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It had no master-servant contract with Lu Changxing, but the subtle connection between the two allowed it to sense that Lu Changxing was still alive. Phew! Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and Xiaoxia all breathed a sigh of relief. They say worry blinds the mind. Previously, they had all forgotten about Mount Sumeru's existence. Thank you, Senior Mount Sumeru. Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and the other women expressed their gratitude. Although Mount Sumeru Tree King was their husband's spiritual pet, as a third-rank demon king, they still showed respect. Knowing Lu Changxing was safe calmed Xiaoxia considerably as she went to Changxing Hall to retrieve Lu Changxing's frequently used talisman brush, preparing to return and report. However, just before departing to fulfill her mission, she thought for a moment and decided to bring Lu Miaoge and Lu Qingxian along to Qingyun sect. On the one hand, they could use the bloodline connection between Lu Qingxian and Lu Changxing to estimate his general situation. On the other hand, considering Lu Changxing had encountered trouble in the Tianyuan's secret realm, if he delayed his return, other family forces might test or provoke them. Lu Miaoge, as the lady of the Lu family, visiting Qingyun sect and Cayenne Peak, would also send a message to the outside world, possibly serving as a deterrent. Miaoyun, once news of the Tianyuan's secret realm spreads, rumors about my husband's situation will certainly circulate among the opportunists. Since the family's commerce is just starting to gain traction, notify Lu Yun and Xingyang to prepare in advance. Meanwhile, Ling Zixiao also addressed Lu Miaoyun. Sister Ling, I understand. Lu Miaoyun nodded gently, responding. Though her demeanor was fresh and lively, like a playful maiden, years of managing internal affairs for the Lu family had shaped her into a woman of refined elegance and noble grace. Lu Miaoge and Xiaoxia piloted their spirit boat and gently landed outside Qingyun sect's mountain gates. So this is Qingyun sect? Lu Qingxian looked curiously at the cloud-covered, ethereal peaks and the radiant, misty scenery of Qingyun sect. Bai Lake Mountain wasn't far from Qingyun sect, yet he had never been here. Yes. Lu Miaoge, her face gentle and her demeanor fluid like water, gave her son a brief introduction to Qingyun sect. However, she had only visited twice before and wasn't very familiar with the sect herself. Uncle Master Xiao. Seeing Xiaoxia, the disciples at the mountain gate immediately bowed and greeted her. Xiaoxia's expression remained cool and noble as she nodded slightly and led Lu Miaoge and Lu Qingxian into Qingyun sect, heading toward Cayenne Peak. Master! She reached the palace at the summit and paid her respects. Yun Wansheng, seeing Lu Miaoge outside, was struck by a strange sense of unease. She recalled how she had cultivated the virtuous woman reincarnation technique years ago, entering the soul path dreams of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, and they're intertwined with Lu Miaoge. Though it was merely a dream, the experience had left an impression on her. Sigh. Yun Wanshang felt a vague sense of agitation. If Lu Changxing were truly in danger or had an accident, she wouldn't just be unable to face Xiao Siye but would also be ashamed before the Lu family and Lu Miaoge. I hope that little scoundrel is all right. Yun Wanshang took a deep breath, suppressed her miscellaneous thoughts, and walked out of the palace. Greetings, Elder Kain. Lu Miaoge promptly bowed respectfully alongside her son. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly. Taking the talisman brush from Xiao Siye's hands, she raised her palm lightly and led Lu Qingxian toward Elder Du to deduce Lu Changsheng's situation. As Lu Miaoge watched Kaiyun True Immortal leave, for some reason she found the departing figure vaguely familiar. Yet she knew this was her first time meeting Kaiyun True Immortal. She had never seen her before. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:11. However, the other party's body and face seemed to be shrouded in an ethereal divine aura, indistinct and veiled, making it impossible to see their true appearance. What is your name? Yun Wanshang gazed at Lu Qingxian, whose appearance perfectly inherited the likeness of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, and felt a sudden sense of closeness in her heart. Her voice softened as she spoke. Reporting to the true immortal, my name is Lu Qingxian. Lu Qingxian looked at Yun Wanshang, whose entire being emanated a glowing radiance and an invisible aura of oppression. Although slightly restrained, he maintained composure and respectfully clasped his hands in salute. Lu Qingxian. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly and asked aloud. The Qingyun sect opens its mountain gates once every 5 years to recruit new disciples. If you are willing, I can grant you the status of an inner sect disciple directly. Although she did not know Lu Qingchuan's talent level, she could infer from his cultivation level that his spiritual root was not only adequate but possibly exceptional. Therefore, if he was willing to join the Qingyun sect, she was also willing to extend some favor. Thank you for your kindness, true immortal. I will need to ask my parents before deciding. Lu Qingxian was somewhat flattered but did not give a direct answer. Very well. Yun Wanshang did not press further. She brought Lu Qingxian to a mountain peak. A moment later, an elder in a purple robe stepped out to greet them. Upon hearing Yun Wanshang's intention, he took up the talisman brush, extracted a drop of Lu Qingchuan's essence blood, and performed a technique with hand gestures to divine his fate. So this is the art of divination. Lu Qingxian watched Elder Du with serious eyes. The 100 arts of cultivation were vast and profound. Of these, the art of divination counted as one of the most mysterious. However, such inheritance was exceedingly rare, with only a few individuals able to master it. He had only read about it in books and had never witnessed it before. After a long while, Kaiyun True Immortal, this person's fate is also shrouded by a force that obscures heaven's secrets, making it difficult to deduce his circumstances. Elder Du shook his head and said, when divining Chu Qingyi earlier, he had expended considerable essence, qi, and spirit. Now, while divining Lu Changxing, he felt a resistance, a veiling of heaven's secrets, and chose not to continue. Elder Du, thank you for your hard work. Yun Wanshang nodded and said, her purpose in divining Lu Changsheng's situation was twofold. First, to see whether she could uncover useful clues or information about him. Secondly, she wanted to understand if his circumstances were similar to her disciple Chu Qingji's. Now, hearing this result, her expression subtly tensed. She thought to herself, is that nascent soul sword cultivator truly Lu Changsheng? Otherwise, why would her disciple Chu Qingyi be concealed from heaven's secrets, and Lu Changxing too? Furthermore, she had given Lu Changxing a token sealed with divine skills many years ago. If the token were activated, she would be able to sense it through mysterious connections. Yet, she had not felt the token being activated, which indicated Lu Changxing was likely not in grave danger. Yun Wanshang did not dwell further on the matter. She turned to Lu Qingxian, lightly flicked her jade-like fingers, and a jade talisman fell before him. She spoke aloud, if in the future you wish to join the Qingyun sect, You may use this to contact me. Currently, with Lu Changsheng's whereabouts uncertain, Bai Lake Mountain was likely to face some trouble. Though she would not personally intervene in such matters, she was willing to offer some backing. This jade talisman served as a gesture of support. If Bai Lake Mountain did encounter trouble, as long as Lu Qingxian or Lu Miaoge presented this jade talisman, it would serve as an external deterrent. This junior thanks the true immortal. Lu Qingxian, though unsure why this nascent soul true immortal regarded him so highly, was still overjoyed and respectfully clasped his hands in salute. Very well. After returning to Kaiyun Peak with Lu Qingxian, Yun Wanshang explained the situation briefly to Xiaoxia before heading to the Heavenly Sword sect, transforming into a streak of rainbow light and leaving the Qingyun sect. Xia, I recall Xingyue and Yun Lu are at the Qingyun sect. If convenient, I wish to visit them. At this moment, Lu Miaoge spoke aloud. Sir, the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As the aunt of Xingyue and Yun Lu, now that she was at the Qingyun sect, it was only proper to show care and concern. Besides, her husband had encountered such an incident, and it was possible the news might reach the two of them. She should also remind them to focus on their foundation establishment and not worry about family affairs. All right. Xiaoxia nodded, leading Lu Miaoge to visit the two of them, and afterwards to see Zhao Qingqing. Mother, earlier Kaiyun True Immortal asked if I was willing to join the Qingyun sect. When Lu Miaoge left the Qingyun sect and returned to Bai Lake Mountain with Lu Qingxian, he took out the jade talisman from Kaiyun True Immortal and spoke. Lu Miaoge was pleasantly surprised, not expecting her son to be highly valued by Kaiyun True Immortal. Although her husband believed their children had no need to join immortal sects, the fact that her son was proactively regarded by the true immortal still moved her heart. However, recalling the past events concerning her son Lu Qingshan and daughter Lu Qingzhu, she calmed herself and decided to wait for Lu Changsheng's return before making a decision. Mother, the true immortal bestowed this jade talisman upon me, which surely shows favor toward our family. Just recently, Father had taken the role of guest elder at Kaiyun Peak, and now he encountered unexpected danger in the Tianyuan's secret realm. At this moment, Lu Qingxian pursed his lips and spoke softly. Lu Miaoge felt her heart tremble upon hearing this. Her expression softened as she gently stroked her son's head, murmuring, "Xianer, don't worry. Your father will be fine, absolutely fine." Within the Tianyuan lotus, there were no sun, moon, or stars, no day and night to alternate. Lu Changsheng and Chu Qingyi engaged in endless intimacy and dual cultivation. The two almost forgot time, forgot themselves, and became wholly intertwined. Throughout this process, Chu Qingyi's condition gradually improved. Her stunningly beautiful face was no longer deathly pale but gained a warmer flush. Lu Daoist. At this moment, Chu Qingyi spoke softly, indicating that she was already much better. No rush, nascent soul origin is still sufficient, let's be cautious. Lu Changsheng gazed at the mesmerizing elegance of the woman before him and replied. At first, his sole focus had been on helping her recover, leaving no time to fully appreciate the unparalleled beauty of this sword immortal child. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:12. Now that the situation has stabilized, we can naturally take a moment to admire it. Chu Qingyi's face flushed crimson, her delicate body trembling as she closed her beautiful eyes. Yet the more reserved she appeared, the more Lu Changsheng couldn't resist teasing her, causing her delicate nose to emit soft hums, her expression a mix of embarrassment and vexation. To be honest, seeing the ordinarily cool and heroic sword immortal child like this, shy and bashful, was utterly captivating. If something were missing, it was only that there was just one person present. If Shi Yu or even Kaiyun True Immortal were here as well. Qin Yi, core formation is dangerous, and we mustn't allow the slightest negligence. What we're doing is all for healing and core formation. In my heart, fairy, you are still pure and untouched like jade. Lu Changsheng spoke gently, looking at the beauty before him. Chu Qingyi, her misty eyes opening and closing, caught sight of Lu Changsheng's tender and affectionate gaze. Her heart swelled with embarrassment and annoyance, and even a trace of speechlessness. Had already done this to her and still claimed she was pure and untouched. If this was truly for healing and core formation, what were his hands busy doing? However, the normally sharp-edged sword immortal child was now like an ostrich, only daring to ponder such thoughts internally without voicing them aloud. After all, in this sort of situation, the shame was unbearable. Qingyi, your complexion has improved a lot. Looking at you, you'll probably just need a few more days of healing before starting core formation. Don't worry, with me here, you'll definitely succeed in forming your core, a superior gold core. Lu Changsheng looked at the frowning fairy before him and continued, gently caressing her soft and smooth, flushed yet pale cheeks. Chu Qingyi pressed her lips without speaking, her face so red it resembled the morning glow. Humiliated and agitated, she turned her disheveled-haired head to the side. Clearly, Lu Changsheng's words had thrown her mind into disarray and made it hard for her to compose herself. Time crept forward moment by moment. Seeing that Chu Qingyi's condition had stabilized, Lu Changsheng didn't delay any longer and began assisting her with core formation. After all, if he delayed further, the nascent soul origin that he had refined or the healing effects might dissipate, potentially missing the opportune moment for core formation. Boom! Lu Changsheng drove the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to its limits, integrating the Sun-Moon cauldron floating above his head into Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean core. Huff, huff, huff. At the same time, nature's spiritual energy surged and poured into Chu Qingyi's physical body. Even though Chu Qingyi had previously been a nascent soul immortal, now undergoing core formation again after dissolving her previous core, she still faced the 3 gates of core formation. Given Chu Qingyi's current state, it was naturally difficult for her to endure such an infusion of nature's spiritual energy. But during their earlier dual cultivation, Lu Changsheng had already transferred nascent soul origin into her meridians and core, as well as the Sun-Moon cauldron. Thus, he directly repelled the influx of nature's spiritual energy, allowing only a small portion to enter Chu Qingyi's body, then absorbed the rest himself to refine into spiritual energy for her. Meanwhile, Yun Wanshang had arrived at the Heavenly Sword sect. After stating her purpose, she was invited to a grand hall to wait. Yun Wanshang took out Chu Qingyi's soul lamp from her bosom and glanced at it. The once dim and faint soul lamp, like a candle clinging to life in the wind, now appeared significantly brighter. However, the flickering soul fire still betrayed Chu Qingyi's unstable condition. Qingyi has escaped danger? Yun Wanshang gazed at the soul lamp in her hand, a joyful expression lighting up her face. Daoist Kayun. A moment later, a man neither tall nor short, neither fat nor thin, with a face that appeared somewhat ordinary yet carried an air of masculine charm with a hint of feminine refinement, approached. His loose snow-white robes, worn elegantly, hung at his waist with a simple green long sword, evoking a sense of purity, white jade untainted by dust. But as soon as he stepped into the grand hall, Yun Wanshang sensed the entire space enveloped by an invisible gravity. Greetings, true monarch. Yun Wanshang bent at the waist and paid her respects. Even though the 4 great immortal sects shared close ties, as one of the Qingyun sect's peak masters with a core formation late-stage cultivation level, Yun Wanshang dared not show even the slightest disrespect before this nascent soul true lord. Daoist, I already know the reason for your visit. Have you brought your disciple's soul lamp? Xianxia true monarch's voice was calm and warm, devoid of any sword cultivator's sharpness. Yun Wanshang handed the soul lamp from her bosom to Xianxia true monarch. Taking the lamp in hand, its flame flickered softly as Xianxia true monarch began to manipulate calculations, a gaze that alternated between soft serenity, steady gravity, lively brilliance, and commanding austerity flashing across his ordinary yet striking face. A moment later, his expression settled into tranquil composure, his lips forming a faint smile as he said, Daoistkin, indeed your disciple was marked by a terribly ominous fate. Yet misfortune and fortune interweave, calamity breeds opportunity. If she can overcome this tribulation and turn peril into safety, shall meet a most auspicious fate. For now, your disciple has emerged from the most threatening situation. Whether her future holds misfortune or fortune will depend on her own destiny. If we were to intervene, it might upset her fate. Xianxia, true monarch, spoke in a calm, measured tone. Thank you, true monarch. Yun Wanshang visibly relaxed upon hearing these words. Although divination techniques do not yield absolute precision and only offer blurred insights, the true monarch's words suggested it would be best not to interfere. Otherwise, meddling with destiny could introduce complications and unforeseen changes, potentially leading to calamity for Chu Qingyi. Daoist Kaiyun, there's no need to thank me. Were it not for your discovery of the Tianyuan secret realm, Juejin might never have successfully broken through to nascent soul. Xianjian, true monarch, said with a calm demeanor. Sar the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1313. The vast lake stretched endlessly, and a crystalline blue-green lotus seat drifted amidst the waves. Sometimes it sank to the depths of the sea, sometimes it floated back to the surface. Occasionally, demon beasts spotted this lotus seat, attacking it viciously or swallowing it whole. But soon after, the lotus seat would bloom with spiritual light, emanating a terrifying magic aura that left the beasts bleeding and defeated. At this moment, within the lotus seat, huff, 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 the spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged wildly, forming a vortex akin to a breach, saturating the air with overwhelming spiritual pressure. If this goes on, attempting to condense a superior golden core will be exceedingly difficult. Lu Changxing was channeling the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to assist Chu Qingyi in reforming her core. However, he realized that continuing this way would make it near impossible for her to condense a superior golden core. Even if she managed to condense one by a stroke of luck, it could at best be a third-grade core. Could I directly refine nature's spiritual energy into 7 luminaries' mana and then merge it with her mana? Lately, an idea emerged in Lu Changsheng's mind. Years ago, when he was detoxifying Chu Qingyi, the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture resonated mysteriously with her cultivation technique and Dao foundation. This indicated that the two techniques shared similar characteristics and were not mutually exclusive. Moreover, his cultivation technique, the Yin-Yang creation classic, possessed the power to unify and coordinate various forces. If that were the case, he could directly refine nature's spiritual energy into 7 luminaries' mana and transfer it into Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean Core. Through the Yin-Yang creation classic, he could harmonize the two forces, which would enormously boost the efficiency of core formation. Though such a thought sounded utterly absurd, the more Lu Changsheng pondered, the more feasible it seemed. After all, when he had condensed the Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dao Foundation years ago, he faced imbalances in Yin and Yang. Yet he had relied on Yun Wanshang's spirit-nurturing energy to achieve perfect harmony. Qingyi. Without hesitation, Lu Changsheng shared his idea with Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi, upon hearing this, found it utterly inconceivable. It wasn't just about cultivation techniques sharing similar traits. Even practitioners of identical techniques would see uneven mana following breakthroughs in foundation establishment and core formation, making perfect fusion difficult. Yet, inexplicably, she instinctively chose to trust Lu Changsheng and agreed to let him act. On one hand, she knew he harbored no ill intentions toward her. His suggestion must stem from confidence. On the other hand, her emotions were already tangled beyond measure, leaving her unsure of how to face Lu Changxing or her junior sister. Afterward, all right. Chu Qingyi's face flushed crimson as she resigned herself to the possibility of failure. At least if she failed, she wouldn't have to confront Lu Changxing or her junior sister. Qingyi, don't worry. Lu Changxing, evidently aware of her thoughts, gently stroked her soft, rosy cheek and spoke tenderly. Then, carefully channeling the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, he transferred a portion of 7 luminaries' mana into Chu Qingyi's meridians and Qi Ocean Core. Though the two forces shared similarities, they indeed struggled to fuse. Especially since Chu Qingyi was currently forming her core. If the 7 luminaries' mana accidentally merged into the embryonic inner core, it might result in chaotic mana and ultimately cause core formation failure. Lu Changxing began channeling the Yin-Yang creation classic, attempting to meld the two forces. Under the harmonizing guidance of the Yin-Yang creation classic, the 7 luminaries' mana seamlessly fused into Chu Qingyi's embryonic inner core, integrating flawlessly and gradually merging as one. This, Chu Qingyi's misty, mesmerized eyes opened wide with wonder, gazing at Lu Changxing in astonishment, longing to understand how he accomplished this. This was astonishing. Utterly unbelievable. Qingyi, if you feel unimpeded, I shall continue. Lu Changsheng's warm gaze locked onto Chu Qingyi's hazy, shy eyes as he spoke softly. Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat under his intimate gaze, her emotions swirling uncontrollably. She hastily turned her head, tightly closed her eyes, and avoided looking at Lu Changxing, her face awash with embarrassment. Lu Changxing sighed inwardly. He thought this fairy Qingyi was far too easily embarrassed. Despite their growing closeness, she remained so shy and reserved. Qingyi. Lu Changxing reached out to pinch her smooth, snowy cheek, signaling that he would continue if she had no objections. Chu Qingyi let out a soft hum. Does mean yes or no? Lu Changxing asked with a smile. Chu Qingyi pressed her lips together, silent, her dazzling eyes opening slightly to glare at Lu Changxing in annoyed embarrassment. This man, despite appearing gentlemanly, acted so shamelessly. S.E. the Novelier. N.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ignoring him didn't deter his teasing. Instead, he persisted, intentionally trying to make her speak in these mortifying situations. No problem. Chu Qingyi bit her lip lightly and mumbled. Her typically clear and soothing voice now trembled slightly, tinged with emotion and allure. Very well, this husband understands. Lu Changxing laughed, responding cheerfully. He thought to himself, though Qingyi exuded an icy demeanor, once her heart melted, she would undoubtedly prove a devoted wife and mother. He wondered whether she liked children. Chu Qingyi shifted her head aside, refusing to engage in his conversation, convinced that this man was becoming increasingly brazen. First, he addressed her intimately as Qingyi. Now, he audaciously referred to himself as her husband. They had only met twice. During their first meeting, she had been disguised. And yet, he was already so familiar and presumptuous. Chu Qingyi couldn't fathom how thick-skinned this man was. Or perhaps how many other women he had treated this way to become so practiced and effortless. Lu Changxing didn't mind Chu Qingyi's attitude. After all, their relationship lacked emotional depth, requiring time and interaction for feelings to develop. Nonetheless, despite teasing her, Lu Changxing never neglected his responsibilities. As he channeled the 7 luminaries' mana into Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean core, a radiant sun emerged at his brow, illuminating the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13-14, Qingyi. He called out, his soul gradually enveloping Chu Qingyi, attempting to pass on the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture to her through soul fusion. Although she couldn't switch to cultivating this technique for now. The two techniques held common attributes, and perhaps they could interweave, complement each other, and achieve mastery through mutual integration. Chu Qingyi felt a tremor in her heart, seeing a golden soul envelop her own. Then countless Dao patterns surged into her mind, transforming into incomparably profound Dao and truths. 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. Chu Qingyi looked at this profound and intricate cultivation technique, utterly at a loss for words. Lu Changxing not only spared no effort in saving her life, helping her to form her core, but also revealed various secrets to her. Now he was selflessly passing down this extraordinary technique to her. She truly couldn't comprehend why Lu Changxing was so good to her. Love at first sight, perhaps? Chu Qingyi recalled Lu Changsheng's earlier words, and deep within her heart, a soft chord seemed to be struck. She felt nervous, moved, and fluttered. Her misty, enchanting eyes became momentarily dazed. A person does not have a heart of stone, who can remain unaffected. Though she usually devoted herself solely to cultivation and sword practice, rarely moved by others. At this moment, she too was touched by Lu Changsheng's selfless and unconditional actions. However, thinking about Lu Changsheng's relationship with her junior sister, she sighed slightly. Though she was unclear about the specifics of their relationship. But the fact that he had cultivated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to such a degree indicated that his relationship with her junior sister was already extraordinary, even recognized by her master. Under such circumstances, as a senior sister, how could she intervene in her junior sister's feelings? Moreover, it would be unseemly for senior and junior sisters to marry the same man. It would not only tarnish the sect's reputation, but also invite criticism and potentially anger their master. Chu Qingyi was now utterly conflicted. Qingyi, focus on comprehending the technique and concentrate on forming your core. At this time, as the soul fusion continued, Lu Changsheng vaguely sensed some of Chu Qingyi's thoughts and spoke out. Chu Qingyi, hearing these words, felt her heart tremble, her face flushing with embarrassment. As a nascent soul immortal, she naturally understood that during such soul communication, their thoughts could easily be perceived. She immediately held her breath and centered her mind, both comprehending the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture and continuing her core formation. However, she was able to multitask like this mainly because most of the core formation process was being handled by Lu Changsheng, leaving her only to stabilize the inner core's nascent form. Such an exquisite cultivation technique, Chu Qingyi's Qingyun sword technique was merely a peripheral sect-level cultivation method. It wasn't that Qingyun sect didn't possess orthodox-level cultivation techniques. Rather, it was because she was born with a sword heart and resonated better with sword Dao cultivation methods. However, Qingyun sect wasn't a sword cultivator sect, so it lacked top-tier sword Dao inheritances. Of course, the Qingyun sword technique, being one of Qingyun sect's sect-defining cultivation methods, was naturally of the highest caliber. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to resonate with the 7 luminaries' sword scripture. At this moment, various insights from the 7 luminaries' sword scripture flooded into her mind, granting her large gains as she instinctively activated the cultivation technique and interwove the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture with the Qingyun sword technique. Humming, humming, humming. A moment later, within Chu Qingyi's Qi ocean core, amidst the nascent inner core form, 2 harmonized streams of mana produced a mysterious resonance. My goodness, is this the caliber of a prodigy from an immortal sect? Lu Changsheng was astonished upon seeing this. Although the 2 techniques had many similarities, the fact that she was able to comprehend the technique the moment he passed it down, intertwine the techniques, and achieve mastery through mutual integration was simply too incredible. Lu Changsheng felt that Chu Qingyi's talent in Sword Dao wasn't inferior to his son Lu Qingshan's, and her comprehension might even surpass his. Qingyi, you're amazing. Lu Changsheng praised aloud. Since she could harmonize her mana and achieve a balanced resonance between energies on her own, forming a superior golden core would now be much simpler. Upon hearing the praise, which sounded like one might encourage a child, Chu Qingyi's heart trembled. She was overwhelmed by embarrassment. Her memory took her back to her childhood, when her master would coax her like this. But now, wasn't she a fully grown adult? Moreover, this person was actually younger than her, yet now he treated her like a child, yet she knew she must not argue with this rogue. Otherwise, who knows what shameless words might escape his lips. Chu Qingyi shut her enchanting eyes tightly, her pale cheeks now flushed scarlet, as she tried to focus completely on breaking through to forming her core. While Lu Changsheng assisted Chu Qingyi in forming her core, a piece of shocking news spread throughout the Jiang country cultivation realm. A prominent expert of the Heavenly Sword sect, Absolute Sword True Person Yun Jianfeng, broke through to nascent soul. Furthermore, during the opening of the Tianyuan's secret realm, the Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan of Liang country's Heavenly Slaughter sect led an ambush. He ended up being ambushed by Shenzhen True Monarch and Absolute Sword True Monarch, his physical body destroyed. Only his nascent soul narrowly escaped. The news was astonishing. On one hand, after several hundred years, the Heavenly Sword sect produced another nascent soul True Monarch, solidifying its undisputed dominance of Jiang country. On the other hand, the fact that two nascent soul True Monarchs from the Heavenly Sword sect nearly slew a fellow nascent soul monarch was remarkable. It's well known that at the nascent soul level, killing someone else is extraordinarily difficult, especially considering that the Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan was an established, renowned veteran nascent soul cultivator. Now, however, his physical body was destroyed, and only his nascent soul spirit body barely managed to escape. Liang country and Yu country have long clashed. For the Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan to come here this time, he likely intended to disrupt Jiang country and provoke a cultivation world war with Yu country. With his physical body destroyed, it's unlikely he'll recover in less than 30 to 50 years. Not just that, I heard the Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan relied on a secret technique to escape by merging into the void with his nascent soul. It might take him 100 years to fully recover. Here the Oval Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13-15. As expected of Shenzhen True Monarch, who once held off two nascent soul True Lords from Jin Kingdom single-handedly, and now almost killed Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan with Absolute Sword True Monarch. After this battle, Liang country and Yu country will probably remain quiet for some time. This news, although sensational, only circulated among the upper echelons of the cultivation world. Ordinary qi refining loose cultivators were completely unaware of such matters. However, while some rejoiced, others were saddened. Besides these two sensational pieces of news in Jiang country's upper circles, many family forces received bad news. Their family patriarch or nascent soul seed had fallen in the Tianyuan secret realm. Lu family ancestor, Lu Changxing, was hunted by a nascent soul immortal in the Tianyuan secret realm and died within the realm? Indeed, this is absolutely true. My seventh uncle's cousin is the ancestor of the Jin family at Golden Dragon Ridge, and he confirmed it. I heard the Sima family at Profound Martial Ridge also vouched for the truth of this matter. Shortly after, news about Lu Changxing of Blue Lake Mountain spread rapidly in the Qingyun region. This news instantly attracted attention from various family forces, coming to Blue Lake Mountain to verify its authenticity. Faced with this situation, Lu Miaoge was already prepared, and the first to dispel the rumors outwardly. She even showed the soul lamp of her husband to some acquainted family patriarchs. The unextinguished soul lamp indicated that Lu Changxing was still alive. That same day, Lu Wangshu went to White Tiger Mountain, found her elder brother Lu Pingon, took the 9 Netherhound, and headed towards Golden Dragon Ridge. Boom! Lu Wangshu directly unleashed a third-rank talisman against the Jin family's mountain gate, causing the Great Formation at Golden Dragon Ridge to rumble violently and spiritual light to flicker. Though my father had some unexpected encounters in the secret realm, he will return soon. If your Jin family dares to provoke or spread rumors again, my Blue Lake Mountain will level your Golden Dragon Ridge. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pink and white skirt, with blue silk hair flowing elegantly, appeared like cold jade under the scorching sun, stood tall on the green jade lawn bird, and said coldly, "Level my Golden Dragon Ridge? Such arrogance!" A Jin family elder shouted coldly but did not come out to face the enemy, merely activated the family's Great Formation. Months ago, Lady of the Lu family, Ling Zixiao, set up formations, and alongside Lu family's eldest son Lu Pingon, they suppressed Patriarch Sima of the Sima family, Sima Tong. The talisman formation technique of this talisman fairy, if compared to the Lady of the Lu family, is perhaps not inferior in the slightest, possibly even better. At this moment, with the brother and sister duo arriving, the Jin family was indeed not a match in direct confrontation. Even if ancestor Jin Zan accepted the challenge, if he got trapped in the formation, he might meet the same fate as Patriarch Sima. If you do not believe, feel free to try. Lu Wangshu, with a tall and elegant demeanor and exceptionally delicate appearance, looked calmly at Golden Dragon Ridge and spoke, not a trace of pretense. Tell Jinzan, back in the day, my parents could easily suppress him. Today, my brother and I can do the same. If he is not afraid of death, feel free to come out and try. After saying this, Lu Wangshu turned to Lu Pingon and said, "Let's go, big brother." Then, without even glancing at Golden Dragon Ridge, she rode away on the green jade Luan bird, leaving with her brother Lu Pingon and the 9 Netherhound. CTH Novelfire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Damn it! A mere junior dares to insult my Jean family in such a manner. This is outrageous. The Jean family elder watched the two leave peacefully, his face extremely unsightly. Lu Wangshu's behavior and words were a blatant slap in the face. By slapping their Jean family's face, they were establishing their might. I didn't expect the Lu family to be so assertive. With Lu Pingon and Lu Wangshu, even if Lu Changxing really fell outside, it's difficult to shake the position of the false core family of Blue Lake Mountain. Alas, what virtue or ability does Lu Changxing possess to have such a pair of children? The momentum of the Lu family in Blue Lake Mountain is already established. After this news spread, many nearby family forces sighed. Knowing that unless the Sima family of Profound Marshall Ridge or the Yuan family of Great Ape Mountain completely fell out with Blue Lake Mountain and went to war. Otherwise, even without Lu Changxing, the current power of Blue Lake Mountain is not something ordinary forces could provoke. And not long after, another piece of news spread. Jin family ancestor Jinzan was also seriously injured in the Tianyuan secret realm, thus not daring to come out to fight. I wonder if this Jin family ancestor is truly injured or just feigning injury. I heard that ancestor Jin was indeed injured, but it's not too severe. I wonder if the Sima family would still act against Blue Lake Mountain. Things between the two families ceased not long ago. Even if the Sima family wanted to act, they wouldn't do it openly. Now, with Blue Lake Mountain owning 4 spirit lands and establishing a chamber of commerce, relying on Lu Pingon and Lu Wangshu alone might not hold the position. Although Lu Pingon and Lu Wangshu retaliated strongly, the disturbances were not yet settled. Many family forces paid attention to the situation at Blue Lake Mountain, wanting to see if the Lu family had the ability to stabilize the current situation. After all, many families had good relations with the Lu family not only because of Lu Pingan's false core level combat power but also due to Lu Changxing, the 3rd-ranked talisman master. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Sword sect, Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingon of Blue Lake Mountain, at such a young age achieved quasi-3rd order body refining, and alongside the lady of the Lu family, Ling Zixiao, suppressed Sima family patriarch, Sima Tong at Profound Marshall Ridge, a woman about 26 or 27 with slender eyes and bright lips, whose face was charming and heroic and tied a high ponytail, heard the news, and slightly frowned. Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Pingon. She pursed her bright lips, went to the Heaven Net Tower of the sect, took out her identity jade, and asked aloud, "Is there detailed information on Blue Lake Mountain? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1316. Bihu Mountain. 40 years ago, the Lu family ancestor, Lu Changxing, seized it from the Yu family and established the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, where his family, Qin Yi, focused on the jade slip in her hand, which contained information about Bihu Mountain. When she saw only a brief mention about the Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingon, she asked aloud, "Senior brother, is there any detailed information about Bihu Mountain's Lu Pingon?" "Bihu Mountain, Lu Pingon?" "Junior sister, wait a moment." Moments later, a disciple from Tianwang Tower handed her a jade slip containing the information. The content inside about Lu Pingon was sparse, covering only his physical appearance, identity, and current combat strength. As for his personal history, there were only 2 items: defeating the Tao family patriarch and the Sima family patriarch. "It's indeed him," Sar the Novlier. And T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. When Qin Yi saw the tall, robust, and stalwart-looking young man detailed in the jade slip, her expression froze momentarily, and she lightly pressed her lips together. Years ago, after parting ways with Lu Pingon, she began her journey toward the Heavenly Sword sect. Now that she thought about it, she truly was like an untamed calf unafraid of tigers in those days. At the 4th level of Qi refinement, she dared to travel alone from the Qingyun region to the Heavenly Sword sect to seek apprenticeship. If not for the stack of talismans and 3 bottles of elixirs Lu Pingon had given her upon parting, she probably would have perished halfway there. Even so, it was sheer luck that she encountered an elder from the Heavenly Sword sect. Otherwise, joining the Heavenly Sword sect was nearly impossible. Not only did he succeed in embarking on the path of cultivation, but he has also grown to such an extent. It seems he must have some kind of latent spiritual root, or even a spiritual body. It was just that his spiritual root was dormant back then, which prevented him from cultivating. Looking at the depiction of Lu Pingon in the jade slip, Qin Yi murmured softly, her heart both relieved and at peace. After their parting that year, a sense of emptiness lingered in her heart, and she felt an urge to find Lu Pingon. But since they had parted, they had no way of contacting each other. Moreover, in her youth, she was also determined to find a way for him to cultivate despite being immortal. Yet, when she arrived at the Heavenly Sword sect and gradually gained understanding of cultivation, she finally understood the weight behind the words, the divide between immortals and mortals. In the world of cultivation, there indeed exist heavenly and earthly treasures capable of granting mortals spiritual roots. However, such treasures are exceedingly rare. Even nascent soul immortals and true lords may not be in possession of them. Still, she did not give up. After breaking through to Foundation establishment, she journeyed out of the sect, battling demons and slaying evildoers while seeking news regarding such matters. But 20 years passed with no significant leads. Who would have thought, upon returning to the sect, she would hear news of Lu Pingon starting his cultivation journey and advancing to such a level? An overwhelming sense of relief and joy filled her heart, making her feel as though her very soul was unburdened. So, back then, the one who entered the Purple Shadow secret realm was him. At this point, Qin Yi's willow-like brows arched slightly as she recalled her encounter with Ping in the Purple Shadow secret realm. At the time, her intuition told her that the person was indeed Lu Pingon. However, the other party denied it, and the notion of a mortal engaging in cultivation at the time seemed too preposterous for her to fully believe. Now, seeing that Lu Pingon had set out on the path of cultivation and had likely achieved quasi-third-tier body refining, her suspicions were finally confirmed. Why didn't he acknowledge me? Qin Yi's brows furrowed slightly, her hand gripping the jade slip with strength. I see. He must have disguised his identity to enter the Purple Shadow secret realm, which implies he didn't want to reveal himself. Furthermore, judging by appearances, he has been concealing his strength all along. Qin Yi's thoughts turned to the details about Lu Pingan's life and background. She surmised that Lu Pingan's latent talent likely awakened later, prompting his family to keep him hidden and low profile. After all, in family factions, such situations were not uncommon. A top-tier genius emerging from a small family force was often kept secret until their growth, to prevent other families from neutralizing the threat. But why hasn't he written a single letter to me since? Biting her lip lightly, Qin Yi fell silent. If Ping was indeed Lu Pingon, then despite her having clearly informed him that she was at the Heavenly Sword sect, why hadn't she received even a single letter? She didn't dwell further on the matter and decided to head to Bihu Mountain to meet Lu Pingon and get to the bottom of it. After so many years, the regrets of her youth had carved themselves into her very being. The memories after their parting, guilt, longing, and bittersweet affection, had fermented for decades, turning those early years into a vivid yet distant dream, now an unwavering obsession. After completing her formal registration at the record hall, Qin Yi suddenly stopped in her tracks and turned toward the letter tower. She took out her identity jade token and asked, "Excuse me, are there any letters for me?" A Qi refinement apprentice verified her token, then retrieved a bundle from a corner and responded, "Martial Ant, please check if any of these letters are yours." Qin Yi glanced at the sender's names on the letters, her gaze freezing slightly as she saw the stack of more than 10 letters. Her expression faltered for a moment. Her once stoic face showed a faint smile, followed by a bitter one, as she took the letters and left the letter tower. She quickly returned to her dust-covered cave mansion. Without even using the cleansing technique, she eagerly opened the letters with anticipation and read the contents. But as she read what was written inside, she froze completely, her face filled with utter bewilderment and disbelief. Misty Rain Market. Lu Changxing, Mountain Lord of Bihu, has fallen within the Tianyuan's secret realm. Am I now a widow even before entering his home? A woman of around 28 or 29 years old, dressed in a light blue gown with a delicate face, heard the news and revealed a somewhat peculiar expression. Previously, when the Sima family sent people to Misty Rain Market to demand accountability, she made a decisive decision to seek assistance from Bihu Mountain and agreed to their vassalage request, on the condition that the Mountain Lord of Bihu marry her as a concubine. But unexpectedly, before she could even officially join his household, this Lu Mountain Lord allegedly perished in the Tianyuan's secret realm. Elder sister, since that Lu ancestor has died in the Tianyuan's secret realm, the Sima family may use this opportunity to provoke and probe Bihu Mountain. Moreover, by allying with Bihu Mountain, we might become targets of the Sima family's suppression. I will head to Bihu Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:17. After pondering for a moment, Yu Fei turned to her elder sister and said, "Now that this Lu ancestor has fallen, will Bai Lake Mountain be willing to take action?" Yan Lan spoke with some worry clouding her eyes. Though Bai Lake Mountain has Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu as its pillars, in her eyes, without Lu Changxing, the Lu family ancestor, a third-rank talisman master, Bai Lake Mountain is like a top-tier false core battle strength missing, a definite disadvantage against Xuanwu Ridge's Sima family. Under such circumstances, why would they fight hard against the Sima family for their Misty Rain Market? Although my marriage contract with Lu ancestor was not finalized in name, I am still considered one of his concubines. I believe Bai Lake Mountain wouldn't leave us be, otherwise, how would their other allies view them? Besides, Bai Lake Mountain and Xuanwu Ridge have already become mortal enemies, destined for relentless conflict. If they sit idly by, it would essentially mean pushing us away. Yu Fei said so. According to the tributes their Misty Rain Market offers as a subordinate force, indeed, it shouldn't be worthwhile for Bai Lake Mountain to provoke enmity with Xuanwu Ridge's Sima family. But given their deep-seated rivalry, under this situation, if Bai Lake Mountain doesn't protect its own, it would be akin to weakening their own power. Fei Fei, how you've been wronged, Yan Lan heard her younger sister's words and sighed. Previously, when her sister suggested marrying Lu ancestor as a concubine, she had disapproved, feeling aggrieved on her behalf. Now that Lu ancestor's whereabouts are unknown, her sister still has to carry the title of a grieving widow-to-be, which truly pained her. What grievance could there be? Yu Fei gave a gentle laugh, utterly unconcerned. She felt hardly any sorrow for Lu Changsheng's passing. After all, she had only met this Lu ancestor once. Though this Lu ancestor was handsome and refined, a rarely seen beautiful man, and she would have been willing to marry him, it wasn't to the extent of love at first sight, nor the kind where one hears of his death and falls into despair. Moreover, her decision to become Lu ancestor's concubine was purely out of self-interest. With his death, her benefits have indeed diminished, but it wasn't too much of a loss at least. Now she wouldn't have to be. Yu Fei looked at her elder sister beside her, wrapping her arm around her waist. Her shapely figure clung to her elder sister like a snake, breathing softly as she whispered, "Sister, it's just a title, it's not as if it affects anything. Besides, sister, didn't you oppose me marrying anyone else?" As she spoke, her lithe body shifted sensually against her elder sister's. Her crimson lips moved forward for a kiss, her breath faintly coming in pants. Then she opened her mouth slightly, taking Yan Lan's flushed earlobe gently between her teeth, softly nibbling. Fei, Yanlan's cheeks flushed deeply, her legs weakening. Soon after, her charmingly radiant face moved closer to her younger sister's red lips, kissing her passionately. Outside matters were entirely unknown to Lu Changxing. At this moment, he was still wholeheartedly assisting Chu Qingyi in her core formation. With Chu Qingyi's comprehension of the seven luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture and the aid of the Yin-Yang creation scripture, the two streams of mana integrated harmoniously, making Chu Qingyi's core formation process significantly smoother. Although achieving a first-grade golden core was still slightly challenging, the formation of a high-quality golden core was already certain. Thus, time slowly flowed by. The nature's spiritual energy within the Tianyuan lotus began to surge ferociously, pouring into Lu Changsheng's body like a funnel. Initially, the spiritual energy within the cave heaven was as vast as a boundless sea, rich and dense like liquid. Yet as it was steadily consumed, the spiritual energy had begun to grow much thinner. After all, the Tianyuan lotus contained no spirit vein. All the spiritual energy depended entirely on the Tianyuan lotus properties, accumulated over several millennia. Still, despite its thinning, the accumulated spiritual energy was initially so abundant that it remained sufficient to support Chu Qingyi's breakthrough to core formation. No one knew how much time had passed. Within Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean core, a glimmering golden core surrounded by faintly seven-colored radiance bloomed, exuding endless divine light as it broke through the sun-moon furnace cauldron, gradually orbiting atop her Dao Foundation jade plate. Boom, boom, boom. Her Dao Foundation hummed violently, surging forth tens of thousands of hues of divine light, illuminating in tandem with the golden core. At this moment, a yin-yang fish swam into Chu Qingyi's Qi Ocean core, circling the radiant golden core suffused with a seven-colored aura, as if sculpting it. With the movement of the yin-yang fish, tendrils of yin-yang energies began to rise and ripple, appearing almost like streams of the great Dao mechanism flowing, causing seven-colored core patterns to gradually emerge upon Chu Qingyi's golden core. Chu Qingyi's mental spirit was stunned. She couldn't fathom what kind of method Lu Changxing employed to make her golden core condense several levels within an instant. But just at that moment, her mental spirit was briefly distracted. She seemingly caught glimpses of herself returning together with Lu Changxing post-core formation, where her junior sister, Xiaoxia, learned of her relationship with Lu Changxing and was overwhelmed by grief. Then, there was Lu Changxing proposing marriage to her master, whose look was filled with disappointment. Heart Demon. Having broken through core formation previously, Chu Qingyi was aware that this was the heart demon arising during the process. Ordinarily, with her sword heart clarity, such distractions shouldn't take root. Yet for several days now, her involvement with Lu Changxing had left her uncertain of how to confront things. All her fears, worries, and inner conflicts had bottled up deep in her heart and now erupted entirely. Break. Possessing an innate sword heart, cultivating sword Dao techniques, and with experience in core formation along with her core formation soul, she swiftly shattered this heart demon realm. However, even as her beautiful eyes briefly opened and closed, gazing upon the strikingly handsome Lu Changxing standing before her, her emotions remained indescribably tangled within. Defeating the mountain bandit is easy, defeating the bandit in one's heart proves difficult. Although her Dao heart was steadfast, the current circumstances deeply troubled her. Noticing Chu Qingyi glancing at him, Lu Changxing merely smiled gently, his slightly weary face radiating tenderness as he softly murmured, "Calm your heart." Chu Qingyi softly responded, focusing her spirit to complete the final stages of her core formation. For ordinary cultivators forming their cores, they often required a period of settling and maturing for 100 days. But as Chu Qingyi's core formation was her second one, her foundation was substantial, supported additionally by the nascent soul origin and Lu Changsheng's assistance. She didn't need as long. On this day, Chu Qingyi's golden core intertwined and fused with her Dao foundation, creating a marvelous resonance. At this moment, sacred sounds representing the great Dao reverberated throughout her being, and 10,000 streaks of resplendent light emanated from the golden core, purifying her flesh and blood. Aligned with this, Her innate magical sword let out faint sounds of euphoria. It's still slightly lacking, but achieving second-grade golden core is acceptable. Improvements can come later. Seeing Chu Qingyi successfully form her core formation, Lu Changsheng exhaled in relief, his expression brightened with joy. As the saying goes, saving one life equals building a 7-layered pagoda. Having successfully saved Chu Qingyi from a life-threatening predicament and enabled her to form her second-grade golden core, Lu Changsheng's heart brimmed with fulfillment. Moreover, assisting her with core formation opened up new strategies and pathways for him. The next time Lu Miaoge, Xiao Siye, Ling Zixiao, and others attempt core formation, he could use a similar approach to boost their success rates and achieve higher quality outcomes. However, for them to achieve high-quality golden core outcomes like Chu Qingyi's, it wouldn't be as straightforward. After all, Chu Qingyi's success hinged entirely upon Tianyuan True Monarch's nascent soul origin. Though Tianyuan True Monarch had mentioned it was merely the remnants of nascent soul origin, this resource was an immense boon for a core formation cultivator, vast and overwhelming. Not only did it heal Chu Qingyi's meridians and flesh, but it also helped her condense her second-grade golden core. Meanwhile, Lu Changsheng's cultivation level had risen from core formation second layer to the peak of core formation third layer. SEA the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Just one step shy of breaking through to core formation fourth layer. If I fully refined all this nascent soul origin, I wouldn't just reach the fourth layer. The fifth layer or even sixth layer might be possible. Lu Changsheng contemplated covertly. The nascent soul origin he transferred to Chu Qingyi's meridians and Dantian had caused substantial wastage. Still, he didn't feel overly regretful about this. At times, gains are intertwined with losses, and losses pave the way for gains. After all, one cannot retrieve tiger cubs without entering the lair. Yes, the comparison of Chu Qingyi, this fairy resembling flawless jade-like buns, to a tiger's den seemed apt. Thank you, Lu Daoist. At this moment, Chu Qingyi slowly opened her bright and clear eyes, speaking gently to Lu Changsheng, though clearly unsure of how to interact with him. Congratulations to my dear Qingyi for forming her high-quality golden core. Lu Changsheng casually wrapped his arm around the bowtie's waist, planting a kiss upon her flawless cheek, his tone tender. Chu Qingyi gently furrowed her brows, unsure how to converse with Lu Changsheng. Their interaction felt overly intimate, and she feared he might soon blur the lines entirely and say something embarrassing. Yet speaking as they might normally would seem distant, a hurtful stance. Qingyi, you've just undergone core formation. Focus on consolidating your realm. Lu Changsheng observed her slight discomfort. Understanding that haste wouldn't help, he decided to allow her time to adjust gradually. Moi. Lu Changsheng stood up, donning his robe, preparing to investigate whether this cave heaven might hold other valuable items. After all, Tianyuan True Monarch had mentioned leaving behind some heavenly and earthly treasures. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1318. Lu Changsheng stepped into the palace. Though the interior was simple, it was fully equipped, with facilities for alchemy, artifact refining, cultivation quiet rooms, and more. Evidently, Tianyuan True Monarch's second nascent soul not only cultivated here but also immersed himself in mastering the 100 arts of cultivation. He entered the alchemy chamber. Sir the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At the center stood a massive white golden alchemy furnace, supported by 3 legs, with 36 engraved golden crow divine birds radiating an ancient and profound aura. What an extraordinary alchemy furnace! Lu Changsheng's eyes gleamed as he instantly recognized the uniqueness of the furnace. He stepped closer for a detailed observation and determined that this furnace was likely a 4th-rank alchemy furnace. However, due to the passage of time and lack of use, its spiritual essence had been eroded, reducing its effectiveness to that of a 3rd-rank furnace. Nevertheless, it's more than adequate. Perfect for replacing my old alchemy furnace at home. Lu Changxing nodded in satisfaction. He was only a second-order alchemist. For him, this furnace was more than sufficient. Even if Wang Lin needed to remake her physical body and required third-order spirit pills, this furnace would suffice. Moreover, with proper nurturing, the furnace might regain its fourth-rank effectiveness. Lu Changxing then approached the adjacent table and opened several medicine bottles and jade boxes placed atop it. Even though these elixirs and spirit medicines had been stored in porcelain bottles or jade boxes, millennia of passing time had caused their medicinal power to diminish significantly. However, these elixirs appeared to be casually refined by Tianyuan True Monarch, with no presence of precious items like coagulation crystal elixirs or infant transformation elixirs, so Lu Changxing felt only mild regret. He wasn't particularly distressed. If there had been a few degraded infant transformation elixirs here, Lu Changxing might have lost sleep for 2.5 years over them. After a brief inspection, Lu Changxing entered the adjacent artifact refinement room. This room was much larger than the alchemy chamber. At its center stood an enormous pitch-black treasure forging platform. Similar in grade to the alchemy furnace in the previous room, this treasure forging platform was also of fourth rank, though its spiritual essence was somewhat eroded. However, compared to the alchemy furnace, this treasure forging platform was in relatively better condition, likely a quasi-fourth rank item. With this treasure forging platform, crafting magical treasures in the future will be much more convenient. After inspecting it for a while, Lu Changxing couldn't hide his joy. Refining magical treasures was a highly intricate process. Some treasures could be forged using earth vein fire or heavenly spiritual fire. Others required specialized tools like treasure foundries and forging platforms. This treasure forging platform created by Tianyuan True Monarch undoubtedly possessed impressive capabilities. It was equipped for quenching, refining, fine refining, smelting, pattern integration, molding, treasure consecration, and more. With this treasure forging platform, his top-tier third-order artifact refining skills could now be perfectly executed. Then Lu Changxing turned to the materials stacked in several corners of the room. There were various ores, magical treasure materials, and demon beast bones, among others. Frost mysterious iron, fire prime copper, thick earth iron essence. Lu Changxing examined these exceptionally rare heaven and earth spiritual materials from the outside world, along with some materials he couldn't name. Could this be the claw of a fourth-rank great demon king? At that moment, Lu Changxing spotted a massive blood-red claw as large as 10 feet. Upon closer inspection, he felt an intimidating aura emanating from the claw. Even after thousands of years, this claw still radiated a shocking presence, something no third-rank demon king could achieve. It was highly likely the claw of a fourth-rank great demon king. No wonder so many people love exploring secret realms. Gains like these are undeniably captivating. Looking at the rare spiritual materials before him, Lu Changxing exhaled deeply, feeling a sense of awe. Initially, he believed his system made him indifferent to secret realm opportunities. But now, he could only admit, it was truly tempting. Even so, he still wouldn't risk venturing into secret realms merely for potential gains. After all, how many such fortunate encounters exist like the Tianyuan secret realm in the cultivation world? With these materials, he'll never have to worry about crafting magical treasures again. If I wished, I could even forge 3 to 5 magical treasures for myself. Magical treasure materials were unlike elixirs. Even with spiritual erosion, their degradation wasn't too severe. Demon beast tendons, bones, and inner cores might suffer significant spiritual losses. But for gold iron ores, as long as they were properly refined and purified, the impact would be minimal. Full of anticipation, Lu Changxing moved to explore the other rooms. Next to him was a room dedicated to incense making, with an elegant and traditional ambience. It housed various kinds of incense sticks and sheets. However, Lu Changxing lacked expertise in incense making, so he refrained from testing their effects. After all, incense effects varied greatly. Some could calm the mind and spirit, aiding cultivation. Others might induce hallucinations, cause deviation, or work as aphrodisiacs, Lu Changsheng exited the incense-making room and entered the adjacent talisman room, where he acquired a third-order talisman brush. There were also jars of spirit ink and stacks of talisman paper. But due to their age, all their spiritual essence had waned, rendering them unusable. When Lu Changsheng reached the wine cellar, however, he was overjoyed. Most heavenly and earthly treasures and spirit medicines would lose their spiritual essence over time without proper preservation. But spiritual wine was different. It could absorb nature's spiritual energy and ferment, making the spiritual energy in the wine more refined and potent, enhancing its quality. Lu Changsheng opened a jar of spiritual wine. Instantly, the intoxicating aroma of the wine filled the entire cellar, captivating the senses and soothing the mind. After thousands of years of storage and fermentation, this spiritual wine had reached 4th rank. Hiss! These 6 jars of spiritual wine are now practically priceless. Lu Changsheng was pleasantly surprised, marveling at the breadth of Tianyuan true monarch's interests. Alchemy, artifact refining, incense making, talisman making, wine brewing. Each skill reached at least 3rd rank. He entered the next room and saw 6 insect nests. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1319. Inside were many insect eggs, seemingly an attempt to cultivate spiritual insects. However, after several thousand years, these eggs had all lost their vitality, and Lu Changsheng had no idea what kind of insect eggs they were. He shook his head and arrived at the final cultivation chamber. Inside, apart from a meditation mat, there was also a bookshelf with numerous jade slips and books displayed upon it. Yellow Dragon Immortals Travel Notes, Record of Extraordinary People in the Southern Wilderness, Mystical Secrets of the Profound Heaven, True Explanation of the Heavenly Star Formation Path, Changsheng Puppetry Technique. Lu Changsheng gazed at the books and jade slips on the shelf with an expression of joy. Although Tianyuan True Monarch gifted me his cultivation technique inheritance, I simply lack the time and energy to cultivate it. To me, these casually collected travelogues, handbooks, geographical atlases, spiritual object manuals, and 100 arts of cultivation inheritances are far more valuable. Lu Changsheng's face shone with delight. While his family didn't lack cultivation technique inheritances, it was still lacking some foundational accumulation compared to the immortal sects. Especially in terms of knowledge, unless he emptied out a few immortal sects, it would be impossible to achieve such accumulation overnight. But now, with these texts organized, the family's foundation could rise to another level. Strategizing fate, is this a divination inheritance? At that moment, Lu Changsheng noticed a particular book and stared at it in surprise. The 100 arts of cultivation are vast and profound. Among them, if ranked by rarity, divination would definitely be in the top 3. However, inheritances in this field are extremely scarce and the threshold is abnormally high. Back then, he had even asked Hong Lian whether she understood the divination art. Hong Lian explained that divination is fundamentally different from other 100 arts. Only those with innate talent in this area can begin cultivation. If one lacks the talent, no amount of effort will be fruitful. Forcing oneself into cultivation could even lead to sudden death or complete insanity. There was once a nascent soul true lord who forcefully cultivated the divination art, for a time achieving minor success but ultimately becoming insane in their research. As such, even though Hong Lian had the qualifications to access the divination inheritance, she chose not to delve deeper into it. I wonder if I have the talent in this field. Search * the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changsheng rubbed his chin thoughtfully. But upon reconsidering, even if he did possess the talent, he wouldn't have the time to invest in research. It would be better to wait until his family produced a descendant with divination talent. Who knows, maybe one he'll draw a 3rd-order divination. Lu Changsheng chuckled lightly, his attitude toward divination rather indifferent. This was because Hong Lian had previously explained much about it to him. He knew divination wasn't as impressive as one might imagine. It could only predict vague and general information. Frequent attempts to deduce heavenly secrets not only drain one's mental energy but also shorten one's lifespan and diminish fortune. Thus, many cultivators of the divination art do not live long, and their later years are often rather miserable. And this is only the dwelling of Tianyuan True Monarch's second nascent soul. If it were his actual cave mansion in its peak years, how astonishing would its wealth have been? Lu Changsheng glanced through the books for a while, filling his heart with emotion. These inheritances of the 100 arts were at least third rank, while the ones for alchemy, artifact refining, formation, talisman making, and puppetry technique reached fourth rank. Such inheritances would be priceless treasures in the outside world. Yet here, they were treated almost like ordinary books, casually placed on a bookshelf. After examining the books for some time, Lu Changsheng recalled that Tianyuan True Monarch also had a medicine garden. He immediately proceeded to check on its condition. A few spiritual medicines had previously been used to help Chu Qingyi restore her meridians and physical body, and now, in the jade-like medicine fields, only 3 ancient medicines remained crystal clear and radiant. Is this the infant cultivation flower? Lu Changsheng saw one with 4 leaves, emitting 5-colored light, its crystalline texture glimmering, and exclaimed in surprise. The infant cultivation flower, a top-tier nascent condensation spiritual item. It could nourish the nascent soul during the nascent soul process, increasing the probability of condensation and enhancing the quality of the nascent soul. According to Lu Changsheng's knowledge, once the infant cultivation flower grew 3 leaves, it could already be used as a nascent condensation spiritual item, improving the condensation probability by roughly 10%. This particular infant cultivation flower had 4 leaves, meaning it could increase the probability by 15% or even 20%. Its rarity was beyond measure. Aside from the treasure Emperor Lotus, this infant cultivation flower is probably my greatest harvest from this journey. Lu Changsheng's face was full of joy and excitement. Although Wang Lin had once said that with his great Dao golden core, his future nascent soul would be assured, Lu Changsheng still felt that items like nascent soul spiritual objects and infant transformation elixirs ought to be prepared anyway. After all, if the chances of condensation were not at least 98%, what difference was there from outright failure? Could this be heaven-replenishing fungus? Lu Changsheng's gaze fell upon nearby Lingji, completely white and etched with faint golden patterns, and he furrowed his brows uncertainly. Back when his son Lu Chuanjin acquired a heaven-replenishing elixir and consumed it to enhance his spiritual root quality, Lu Changsheng had been paying attention to this type of elixir, wondering if it could be stably refined. Later, through Wang Lin, he learned that the primary ingredient for the heaven-replenishing elixir was called heaven-replenishing fungus. I'll ask Wang Lin about it later. Lu Changsheng pondered silently. Although he didn't possess the recipe for the heaven-replenishing elixir and couldn't refine it himself, it was still incredibly gratifying to acquire such a rare spiritual medicine. Then his gaze shifted to the final spiritual plant, a somewhat chaotic vine emitting a flow of purple and golden light. Lu Changsheng couldn't identify it immediately. After all, the varieties of rare flowers and herbs ranked 3rd and 4th are abundant, and his knowledge in this regard remained limited. The reason he could recognize the infant cultivation flower and heaven-replenishing fungus was purely because Wang Lin had explained them to him. Nonetheless, this vine being placed alongside the infant cultivation flower and heaven-replenishing fungus clearly signified its extraordinary rarity. Lu Changsheng decided not to disturb the 3 ancient medicines. He planned to examine them further upon returning and decide whether to transplant them. If they proved useful to him, he could even cultivate them carefully using the myriad spirits bottle. Lu Changsheng returned to the hall's entrance. Chu Qingyi was seated cross-legged, stabilizing her cultivation realm. She was currently dressed in the azure robe embroidered with cloud patterns that she had worn during her golden core ceremony. Her long black hair was elegantly tied up, cascading smoothly down. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1320. The exquisite and finely contoured features were breathtakingly beautiful, indescribable by words, carrying both the softness of femininity and a certain cold aloofness and heroism that left one in awe upon gazing. As if sensing Lu Changsheng's return, her slender lashes trembled gently, hinting at a trace of nervousness. Goodness, am I really that intimidating? As a core formation cultivator, Lu Changsheng's soul was exceptionally sharp, and he naturally noticed this subtle movement from Chu Qingyi, leaving him momentarily speechless. Although, gazing upon Chu Qingyi clad in the Qingyun robe, her brows like a painting, exuding heroic charm, her beauty befitting that of a sword immortal, he couldn't help but feel a slight heat in his heart. Still, it's not as though he was constantly preoccupied with such thoughts. Not to mention, having spent countless days and nights healing Chu Qingyi and condensing her golden core, even with his body as resilient as a magical treasure, nourished by the nascent soul origin, he still felt weary and needed some rest to stabilize his realm. I wonder where we are right now? Lu Changsheng extended his divine sense to observe the surroundings. He had previously surveyed the external environment and knew that after the Tianyuan lotus tore through the void, it landed in a water domain. However, the specific location remained unclear. He simply intervened whenever he sensed a demon beast interfere with the Tianyuan lotus. Setting aside these thoughts, Lu Changsheng moved to sit cross-legged beside Chu Qingyi, beginning to adjust his state and stabilize the situation. Yet for some reason, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had forgotten something. Phew! Seeing Lu Changsheng merely sit down beside her, Chu Qingyi let out a soft sigh of relief in her heart. She did not dislike Lu Changsheng. However, she couldn't help but feel a little uneasy about how to interact with him if he were to become too close or intimate with her. Qingyun sect. Kaiyun Peak. Inside a luxurious palace. Has Qingyi escaped danger? Yun Wansheng, adorned in a colorful and ornate palace gown, her face exquisitely beautiful and dignified, with an air of nobility, was radiant with joy as she gazed at the soul lamp in front of her, now finally stabilized. After returning from the Heavenly Sword sect, she had no heart for cultivation and had been closely monitoring her disciple Chu Qingyi's soul lamp. At this moment, seeing the flickering flame that once seemed like a candle in the wind now robust and steady, she knew Chu Qingyi had passed through the shadow of danger, and her heart brimmed with both relief and joy. I wonder what fortuitous encounter Qingyi obtained. Yun Wansheng recalled Xianjian True Monarch's words, where he hinted that Chu Qingyi's current experience was a blend of catastrophe and opportunity. If she survived this great calamity, there would be an auspicious turn awaiting her. Although he didn't specify what this auspicious turn was, for it to accompany such a dire tribulation, it was bound to be extraordinary. I wonder how that little scoundrel is doing. At this thought, Yun Wansheng's mind shifted to Lu Changsheng, a hint of concern emerging in her heart. Previously, she had instructed Xiao Siye to inform her at once if Lu Changsheng returned to Bai Lake Mountain. However, so much time had passed, and there was still no news from Bai Lake Mountain. If that core formation sword cultivator truly is Lu Changsheng, then with Qingyi out of danger, that little scoundrel should also be safe. Thinking back on her previous conjecture, Yun Wansheng let out a faint sigh in her heart. She both hoped that the core formation sword cultivator was Lu Changsheng and deeply feared that he was indeed Lu Changsheng. After all, the thought of the two of them being together out there, jointly escaping danger, gave her an inexplicable sense of foreboding. A premonition she didn't dare to dwell on further. See Shovel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Yun Wansheng took a deep breath, forcibly dismissing the chaotic thoughts in her mind, and sat cross-legged to begin her cultivation. Now that her disciple Chu Qingyi was out of danger, she could finally focus on her training in peace. But no sooner had she settled down than a wave of restlessness surged within her. Imagining that if the core formation sword cultivator was truly Lu Changsheng, and if some bond or emotional entanglement developed between them, how should she handle it? What a mess this is. A moment later, Yun Wansheng opened her beautiful eyes and let out a deep sigh. She felt that ever since encountering Lu Changsheng, the moments her heart was thrown into chaos far outnumbered all those in the past century. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1321, Misty Rain Market. Since this Misty Rain Market is under the protection of by Lake Mountain, the Sima family cannot be allowed to act recklessly here. Lu Wangshu stood in a pink and white dress, her black hair flowing gracefully, her beautiful eyes like moonlight glistening. With a cold voice, she spoke. Miss Lu, our profound martial ridge has no intention of becoming enemies with by Lake Mountain. However, some of our Sima family members went missing in this Misty Rain Market. We came to investigate the matter. Why must by Lake Mountain interfere? Isn't that too overbearing? Outside the market, an elder of the Sima family stood with his hands clasped behind his back and spoke in a deep tone. Previously, they had planned to hold the marketplace accountable. However, upon learning that the second market master of Misty Rain Market had married Lu Changxing as a concubine, they refrained from direct conflict and let the issue drop. But now that Lu Changxing had perished in the Tianyuan's secret realm, the Sima family saw no reason to continue conceding. They sought an opportunity to save face. Otherwise, word would spread, and the world would think the Sima family feared by Lake Mountain. Overbearing. Upon hearing this, Lu Wangshu's flawless face, untouched by makeup, was full of disdain. She sneered, "At your age, must you resort to such childish lies? Let me make myself clear. If any of you dare take one step into the market today, you will bear the consequences." Her calm and crisp words dripped with unbridled contempt and disregard. Hiss, this talisman fairy is truly domineering. She does have the right to be arrogant. Someone so young has already broken through Foundation establishment and even killed 5 Foundation establishment cultivators single-handedly. But that person isn't simple either. He's an elder of the Sima family and a Foundation establishment late-stage cultivator. No matter how powerful her talisman arrays are, she can't possibly be his match, right? A tree that stands out in the forest is bound to be battered by the wind. Many cultivators in Misty Rain Market witnessed the scene and murmured quietly. Even the 2 market masters, Yan Lan and Yu Fei, exchanged glances, feeling that this young lady from the Lu family was overly arrogant. Both of their cultivation levels surpassed Lu Wangshu's. One was at Foundation Establishment 6th layer, the other at Foundation Establishment 4th layer. Yet, when facing this elder from the Sima family, neither dared to be so disrespectful. A mere little girl dares to spout such audacious words? I've eaten more salt than you've walked roads. This is something better left for Lu Changxing or Lu Pingan to say. The elder from the Sima family's face darkened slightly as he spoke. At his age, dignity mattered most to him. Now, to be so openly provoked and looked down upon by such a junior as Lu Wangshu, he could not help but feel anger simmering within him. What's more, Lu Pingan and Ling Zixiao had deprived his Sima family of their nascent soul seed in the past. If he could use this opportunity to cripple Lu Wangshu, not only would it serve as revenge to erase this humiliation, but it would also deal a heart-wrenching blow to by Lake Mountain, potentially even leaving it teetering on the brink of collapse. Nonetheless, the elder was cautious, scanning his surroundings to see if Lu Pingan might be hiding in the shadows. If my father or elder brother were here, would you dare to utter such words? You'd have scurried back with your tail between your legs long ago, not daring to show your face. Lu Wangshu sneered as she heard his words, casting a contemptuous gaze at the Sima elder as if regarding a complete fool. Sharp-tongued little girl, since that's the case, let me teach you a lesson on behalf of your father. The elder's face twitched as he spoke in a frosty voice, the growing murderous intent in his eyes directed at Lu Wangshu. Old geezer, the night is dark and the road is slippery. At your age, don't let your temper get the better of you, otherwise, you might not even know how you'll meet your end. Lu Wangshu crossed her arms, tilted her delicate chin slightly upward, glanced at him askance, and added, "Hiss! Hiss! Hiss!" Loose cultivators in the market, along with the 2 market masters, Yan Lan and Yu Fei, couldn't help but gasp sharply at those words. Everyone knew this Sima 4th elder was over 100, nearing 200 years old. Yet here he was being rebuked by a junior like Lu Wangshu, who warned him of the night being dark and the road slippery. It almost felt as if their roles had been reversed. Courting Death. Sia the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The elder's face turned a beet red shade of anger, and he stepped toward the market, ready to kill Lu Wangshu. At 187 years of age, he was a family elder who commanded respect wherever he went. Today, to be pointed at and insulted by a mere slip of a girl was unbearably humiliating. If he didn't teach Lu Wangshu a lesson, he feared he'd forever become a laughingstock. Elder, let it go, let it go. This woman is purposely provoking you, trying to lure you into a formation. Lu Wangshu is skilled in talisman formations, and she might have already set up traps. Younger members of the Sima family, who had accompanied him, hurriedly pulled him back and tried to dissuade him. Just get lost already and stop barking at the gate. You're affecting my family's business. If you don't, Lu Wangshu, ignoring the elder's thunderous expression, continued speaking. Arg! The elder could no longer endure and finally unleashed his magical sword, slashing ferociously at Lu Wangshu. However, just as he charged murderously toward the market gate, Lu Wangshu raised both hands and made a gesture incantation. Boom, boom, boom. Beams of light shot skyward at the market's entrance like thunderclaps. In an instant, a series of intricate talismans appeared in order and ensnared the elder, blasting and suppressing him. Sigh, I warned you about curbing your temper, why didn't you listen? Lu Wangshu held an array plate in one hand and the 99 Arcane Talisman Codex in the other. Shaking her head lightly, she spoke. Her radiant face was as resplendent as jade, her beauty unparalleled. Yet to all who witnessed her, an inexplicable chill ran through their hearts. Isn't this woman a talisman master? How does she also understand formations? Could Lady Lu Ling Zixiao also be present? Talisman formations are a subclass of formations. They can be prepared in advance. No, with this technique, she clearly understands formations. She's an array master. Both the talisman path and the formation path are vast and profound. This woman isn't just a talisman master, she's also an array master. The loose cultivators and some observers whispered among themselves in astonishment. No one had imagined that Lu Wangshu would also turn out to be an array master. Her talent was simply astounding. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1322. Lu Wangshu's hand shot out the 99 Xuanzhen talisman, suppressing the Sima family elder within the talisman formation. Then she looked towards the not-so-distant, hesitant Sima family juniors and said indifferently, "Return and let the Sima family prepare the spirit stones to come and ransom their people." These Sima family juniors saw this scene, then looked at Yanlan and Yu Fei beside Lu Wangshu, whose aura was imposing, and finally left, gritting their teeth. This old man should be able to fetch a good price, right? At this moment, Lu Wangshu glanced at the Sima family elder suppressed by her, her beautiful eyes curving in merriment, and she smiled brightly. She knew that previously, to ransom Sima Tong, the Sima family had paid out 300,000 spirit stones, a spirit land, and 10 shops. The Sima family elder she now suppressed was worth at least tens of thousands of spirit stones, right? If she relied solely on making talismans for money, how long would it take her to earn so many spirit stones? How would she afford to nurture talisman soldiers? Moreover, using the talisman formation to suppress people and then waiting for their family to come and ransom them was akin to selling her own talismans, was it not? It was just a different method, and the price of the talismans became more valuable. In the crowd, a youth with an unremarkable face but eyes like torches, shining with divine light, whose pupils seemed to glimmer with a pale golden luster, saw this scene. He glanced deeply at Lu Wangshu and then put the egg-sized golden bean back into the spiritual pet bag. Lu Wangshu seemed to notice the youth's gaze and gestured simply towards him. Meanwhile, Jin Kingdom, Black Mist Swamp. The entire swamp was shrouded in a layer of dim, purplish-black mist, like toxic gas and miasma, eerily sinister. As one ventured deeper into the swamp, this purplish-black toxic miasma grew denser, seemingly corroding the vitality of all things at every moment. At this time, deep within the swamp, among a chaotic heap of rocks and a miasm-filled stone forest, a youth with a handsome face, clad in a black wide robe, sat cross-legged amidst the toxic miasma, endless toxic mist coiling around his body. If one looked closely, one would see that this miasma, which corroded his vitality, was instead being absorbed into his body. Boom! It was unclear how much time had passed when the black-robed youth's body surged with vital energy, his robe fluttering, burning with a purple-green flame, making him appear like a burning, purple-green sun. Now that the myriad poison true body is formed, the toxic miasma on the perimeter not only poses no harm to me but even provides certain benefits. In such a situation, with my strength, breaking through the encirclement and escaping this swampy mountain range should not be much of a problem. The black-robed youth tilted his head, looking towards the direction of the mountain range, muttering, "Even relying on the poison miasma gourd and netherworld poison fire, I'm confident I can kill them all." Lu Chuanjin narrowed his long eyes, a chilling light flashing, brimming with killing intent. He had previously been hunted down, escaping all the way to this black mist swamp. Ultimately, he managed to survive in this swamp, relying on the Kunping devouring heaven demonic technique. As the saying goes, misfortune and blessing are interdependent. While being chased by a group of poison insects, he inadvertently stumbled into a mysterious cave, gaining opportunity and inheritance within. For this reason, his cultivation level directly broke through from the foundation establishment 4th layer to the 5th layer, just a step away from the 5th layer peak. "Let's go." Lu Chuanjin stood up and reached out his hand towards a boulder nearby. Immediately, a gold-colored worm emitting a fierce and bloodthirsty aura suddenly crawled out from under the stone, landing on his hand and sleeve. Then, his entire being flew in the direction from which he came. 5 Poisons Cult. A magnificent palace. Sister Xiaochan, I heard that the Heavenly Sword sect in Jiang country has a second nascent Soul True Lord appearing. The 2 nascent Soul True Lords have been setting traps through the Tianyuan's secret realm, almost ambushing the heavenly fiend Jinjuan of Liang country's heavenly slaughter sect. Mother going to Jiang country? Will she be in danger? Nangong Yaoyao knew her mother went to Jiang country for matters regarding the Tianyuan's secret realm. So she had been paying close attention to the news in this regard over the years. A few days ago, she heard of news from Jiang country, immediately worrying about her mother's safety. "Yao Yao, don't worry. I've already checked. The soul lamp of my master is unharmed, which means there is no danger." With pity in her eyes, Meng Xiaochan gently comforted the worried girl by caressing her waterfall-like soft hair, softly assuring, "Now that the matters of the Tianyuan's secret realm are over, I believe master will return soon." Besides worrying about her master's situation, she was also very concerned about Lu Changsheng's situation. After all, she knew her master wasn't just going to Jiang country for the Tianyuan's secret realm but also because of Lu Changsheng. Now, with the Tianyuan's secret realm's matters concluded and master unharmed, it was certain that she would go to find trouble with Lu Changsheng next. "I hope master will spare Lu Lang for Yao Yao's sake." Meng Xiaochan sighed in her heart, thinking so. Nangong Yaoyao, hearing Meng Xiaochan say her mother's soul lamp was unharmed, showed a sweet smile on her exquisite and beautiful face, nodding in response. Yet, in the depths of her eyes, as dreamy as stars, there remained traces of worry. "Sister Xiaochan, I remember you went to Jiang country's cultivation world with mother on a mission many years ago. I heard it was very dangerous. Can you tell me about it?" At this point, Nangong Yaoyao looked at Meng Xiaochan in front of her, holding her jade arms and blinking her big eyes, speaking somewhat idly. "Carrying out missions? See Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality." Meng Xiaochan paused upon hearing these words. But still, with a face full of doting, she responded, "All right. Great Dream Marsh, with vast, undulating waters, rippling waves, stretching endlessly. Looking from afar, one could see many fishing boats, bamboo rafts, sampans, black awning boats, spirit boats, and even demon hunting boats on the lake surface. As the saying goes, rely on the mountains to eat from the mountains, rely on the water to eat from the water. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1323. The Great Dream Marsh is abundant in aquatic resources, not only with many spiritual fish but also numerous demon beasts. Thus, not only do mortals come here to fish, but many loose cultivators and family forces organize teams to hunt demons out at sea. At this moment, Wang Lin stood on the black canopy boat, lifting the fishing net she had cast yesterday, her thin face full of disappointment and gloom. Still no spiritual fish. It's been 3 days since I set out, burned 3 sticks of demon-repelling incense, but haven't gained a single thing. If there's no harvest soon, my mother's illness. Wang Lin tightened her moderately thin clothing and pressed her lips lightly. She was a loose cultivator living on White Whale Island. Originally, her family life wasn't too bad. But half a year ago, her father and brother encountered an accident while fishing at sea, and upon receiving such devastating news, her mother was struck with chi blood turbulence, falling gravely ill. Confronting the situation, she had no choice but to fish at sea to earn spirit stones. However, over the past half-year, fishing only barely maintained their livelihood. Looking at her grievously ill mother, she attempted to venture deeper into the Great Dream Marsh, but after burning 3 sticks of demon-repelling incense, she still hadn't caught any spiritual fish, leaving her heart full of gloom and aching pain. It should be known that a single stick of demon-repelling incense cost 4 lower-grade spirit stones. Even with a discount for purchasing 3 sticks, it still required 10 spirit stones, a massive expense for her. Should I venture a bit deeper? Wang Lin gazed out over the boundless, misty and rolling lake surface, pondering silently. But though she thought so, her expression betrayed a touch of fear. After all, the deeper she ventured, the greater the danger. If an accident befell her, then her mother. But looking at the last stick of demon-repelling incense in her arms, she gritted her teeth and began rowing deeper. Otherwise, with no harvest at all this trip, she'd leave empty-handed. After venturing several miles further, she cast her net and fish cage into the water, waiting for the spiritual fish to bite. If I could break through to the 4th level of chi refinement and learn the water avoidance art and water arrow technique, I could dive into the sea for fishing, or even join the monster hunting fleet. Wang Lin watched the burning demon-repelling incense in front of her, fantasizing about the future. As the sky gradually darkened, she glanced back in the direction of White Whale Island and prepared to pull her net up. There's a catch. Just as she lifted it, she realized there was something caught in the net. Then, noticing something glittering, she hurriedly strained to pull the net up. In the net, there were not only several spiritual fish but also an object emitting a shimmering crystalline radiance, a blue-green lotus seed. What is this? Could it be a spiritual artifact? Wang Lin stared at the lotus seed, shocked and overjoyed. Though she was a cultivator, she had never seen a spiritual artifact before. The only magic artifact she had ever seen was her father's fishing crossbow. But at this moment, she instantly recognized that this lotus seed was far more precious than her father's fishing crossbow. After retrieving the lotus seed from the fishing net, she held the crystalline, flowing seed tightly, inspecting it closely, her hands trembling with excitement. It was then that she felt a cooling and profound mystical energy flowing from the lotus seed, causing the bottleneck of her cultivation, which she didn't know how long it would take to break through, to stir faintly at that moment. Wang Lin was stunned, her mouth agape, staring at the lotus seed in disbelief. Though her understanding of cultivation was limited, she knew that treasures capable of aiding in breaking through were definitely supreme treasures. Is this an illusion? She swallowed hard. Search * the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Then she pinched her arm, felt the pain, and confirmed this was not a hallucination. I actually picked up such a treasure. Wang Lin was dazed, overwhelmed by the sudden fortune. In her childhood, she had heard many stories of people picking up treasures and attaining great opportunities. but she never imagined such a thing would happen to her. I must keep this lotus seat a secret. A moment later, Wang Lin calmed down and clenched her fists. Not only did she need to use the lotus seat for cultivation and breaking through, but she also understood the adage, an innocent man gets into trouble for possessing a treasure. An item of such value, once its existence were revealed, would invite endless trouble. Even the island master might covet it. Wang Lin quickly pulled out her cloth bag and wrapped the lotus seat securely. She then placed the spiritual fish into the fish basket, her heart racing as she rowed toward White Whale Island. Splash, splash, splash. Wang Lin noticed that she had ventured too far, and the demon-repelling incense wouldn't last long enough for her to return safely. She murmured repeatedly, praying not to encounter a demon beast. However, worries often manifest into reality. Splash, splash. Suddenly, a burst of water erupted from the lake's surface. A 3-foot-long, pitch-black pointed-mouth monster fish shot out, spewing several streams of water arrows from its mouth. Water shield art. Wang Lin quickly formed a gesture incantation, conjuring a water shield. But as soon as the water shield emerged, it was corroded and pierced by the water arrows, causing a large hole to appear in her black canopy boat, which began to sink. I'm finished. Wang Lin realized that without the boat, she stood no chance against such a demon beast. Save me, treasure, save me. At that moment, she thought of the lotus seat she had obtained. Believing it to be a top-tier treasure surpassing spiritual artifacts, she wondered whether it possessed spiritual awareness and might save her life. Inside the Tianyuan treasure Emperor Lotus, Lu Changsheng felt something and opened his eyes with a hint of surprise. He didn't expect the lotus seat, after floating in this water domain for so long, to finally be picked up by someone. Having someone here isn't bad, perfect for asking where this place is. Lu Changsheng stirred his intent, radiating slight ripples around him before vanishing completely. Beside him, Chu Qingyi watched this scene with some puzzlement and surprise, uncertain about what Lu Changsheng was doing. I didn't expect that just after obtaining such a fortuitous treasure, I'd die here. Wang Lin, staring at the pointed-mouth monster fish before her, held the lotus seat up as a shield, her heart despairing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1324. However, at this moment, a tall and slender figure dressed in an exquisite black brocade robe suddenly appeared before her eyes. Whoosh! As soon as the figure appeared, the sharp-mouthed monster fish attacking her was sent flying and splashed into the water with a loud plop. Young lady, may I ask where this place is? Lu Changsheng turned his head, looking at Wang Lin as he spoke. Is this an immortal? Wang Lin stared at Lu Changsheng's face, her mouth slightly agape, completely stunned, her eyes filled with awestruck admiration. In her nearly 20 years of life, she had never seen anyone this breathtakingly beautiful, like someone walking out of a painting. No, even the people in paintings couldn't compare to this. This must be an immortal. Could it be that the lotus seat she found actually belongs to an immortal? Or was this figure the artifact spirit within the lotus seat? Young lady. Lu Changsheng glanced at her dreamy expression, slightly helpless. He had already restrained as much of his charm as possible, but his radiant and handsome presence still shone like the brightest star in the night sky. Immortal. This is White Whale Island. My name is Wang Lin, a loose cultivator living here. Thank you, Immortal, for saving my life. Wang Lin snapped back to herself and quickly spoke with excitement, her voice tinged with nervous tremors. White Whale Island? Lu Changsheng frowned slightly, not recognizing this location. He continued asking if this was Jiang country, and whether there were any prominent factions or large islands nearby. Immortal, this is Jiang country. The most powerful faction here is the Great Dream Immortal City. Wang Lin hurriedly replied. Great Dream Immortal City. Great Dream Marsh. Upon hearing that he was still in Jiang country, Lu Changsheng let out a breath of relief. If he had broken through the Great Void and ended up in some other cultivation nation, returning home would have been much more troublesome. If it's Great Dream Immortal City, He could arrive there within a month at most if he hurried. Do you know the location of Great Dream Immortal City? Lu Changxing continued to ask. Fang Li immediately felt a bit embarrassed. If it weren't for the misfortune in her family, she would never have left White Whale Island in her entire life. If that's the case, let's go to White Whale Island. Lu Changxing decided to obtain a map of the Dream Swamp Sea and also planned to visit Great Dream Immortal City, take care of some matters, and then return home to propose marriage at Qingyun sect. With a light raise of his palm, the Tianyuan lotus in Fang Li's hands fell into his possession. Seeing this, Fang Li realized that the lotus seat was indeed the property of the man before her. And he wasn't some artifact spirit but likely a foundation-building great cultivator. Senior, please save my mother. My father and brother encountered danger while fishing in the sea, and my mother fell critically ill due to grief and qi blood imbalance. Senior, your divine skills are boundless, please save her. As long as you save my mother, I am willing to serve you forever as your servant to repay your immense kindness. Fang Li bit her lip, knowing she must seize the opportunity upon meeting such a powerful cultivator. She pleaded earnestly. Our meeting can be considered a stroke of fate, servitude isn't necessary. Lu Changxing chuckled softly and then stepped forward, placing his palm gently on her head. In an instant, the Six Desires Heart Demon technique was activated, erasing her memories related to the Tianyuan lotus. He then brought Fang Li back to White Whale Island and handed her a storage bag containing spirit stones, elixirs, talismans, puppets, and a cultivation technique. Lu Ancestor had been in a particularly good mood lately. Given their faint connection through fate, he didn't mind offering a small act of help. After all, taking the Tianyuan lotus and simply leaving wouldn't align with the demeanor of a true core immortal. After purchasing a marine map on White Whale Island, Lu Changxing transformed into a streak of light and sped toward Great Dream Immortal City. This is a gift of fortune. Don't reveal it easily to others, lest you invite calamity. Take care of yourself. Fang Li looked at the storage bag in her hands and its dazzling array of heavenly and earthly treasures. She bit her lip lightly, feeling as though today's experiences were akin to an extraordinary dream. I don't even know this senior's name. Will I ever have the chance to meet him again in this lifetime? She murmured to herself, reminiscing about everything that had just transpired, only to realize she could no longer clearly recall the senior's face. All she remembered was his black brocade robe, his tall and elegant figure, and his incomparably handsome features, like an exiled immortal walking out of a masterpiece. See Shovel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1325. So this is the Great Dream Immortal City? High in the sky, Lu Changxing looked down at the massive city standing on a small island below. Among the three great immortal cities of Jiang Country, Jiuxiao Immortal City, Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he had visited them all. But he had never been to the Great Dream Immortal City before. Compared to the other two immortal cities, the Great Dream Immortal City was neither as prosperous and powerful as Jiuxiao Immortal City, nor as teeming with mixed fortunes and opportunities as Azure Phoenix Immortal City. The sole advantage it had was its stability. In all these years, Lu Changxing had never heard of any power struggles or demon uprisings occurring in the Great Dream Immortal City. Qin Yi were now in the Great Dream Marsh. In planning to visit the Great Dream Immortal City, do you care to join me for a stroll? At this moment, Lu Changxing thought of Chu Qingyi, who was inside the Tianyuan lotus, and sent her a message. He naturally noticed that since he had saved this fairy Qin Yi, her heart and emotions had been in turmoil, unsure of how to face him. This situation hadn't improved over time. In fact, it only worsened after her core formation breakthrough. So, he figured inviting her out for a walk might help her ease her mind. Seated cross-legged, Chu Qingyi heard his words, and immediately her heart thudded wildly. She was flustered and utterly at a loss for how to respond. Would it seem impolite if she refused him? But if she didn't refuse, wouldn't roaming the immortal city together make things even more unclear and ambiguous between them? Seeing the fairy inside the Tianyuan lotus growing flustered and uneasy, Lu Changsheng sighed helplessly. He then stepped into the cave heaven, approached her, and gently grasped her delicate, soft hand. In a serious tone, he asked, "Qing Yi, what's the matter with you? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Or did something go wrong during core formation causing discomfort? Do you need help stabilizing your golden core?" Chu Qingyi. Was this man actually considering dual cultivation as a form of healing? Chu Qingyi quickly calmed her chaotic mental spirit, casting her gaze downward. Her voice carried a trace of embarrassed frustration as she said, "I'm fine, Lu Daoist," about the matter from before, but the words she wanted to say caught in her throat and refused to come out. "I know you're still upset with me," Lu Changxing said, sighing immediately upon seeing her hesitation. "It was wrong of me to decide to save you without your consent, but I simply couldn't stand by and watch you die in front of me. If you're willing, I'll return to Qingyun sect later and formally ask Yin True Immortal for your hand." Holding Chu Qingyi's soft, exquisite hand, Lu Changxing spoke sincerely. But when he saw her beautiful eyes cast downward, avoiding his gaze, he grew despondent and added, "However, if you're unwilling, I'll treat this as a dream and ensure no one else ever knows. Once you've recovered, I won't trouble you anymore. For now, just focus on regaining your strength. If you need anything, let me know anytime." Lu Changsheng's expression was filled with loss. With a sigh, he reluctantly released Chu Qingyi's delicate hand. "I don't." Hearing his words, Chu Qingyi froze, her flawless cheeks betraying a moment of surprise. A wave of guilt and tenderness swelled in her heart. Despite all he had done selflessly to save her, even helping her to form a superior gold core, he acted as though he owed her something. "Really? Qingyi, you're not angry with me?" Lu Changsheng's face, which had been clouded with gloom, instantly lit up with joy. He clasped her silky hand tightly again. Chu Qingyi instinctively tried to pull her hand free from his grasp, but when she failed to do so, she let it be and said softly, "Since we've come to the great dream immortal city, let's have a look around. I've never been here either." "But, Lu Daoist, could you stop calling me Qingyi?" Back in the sect, everyone addressed her as senior or junior sister. The name, Qingyi, was reserved for her master and a few elders. Now hearing Lu Changsheng call her by such an intimate name made her feel an inexplicable sense of discomfort. "All right, in that case, how about I call you senior sister?" Lu Changsheng's gaze softened as he moved a little closer to Chu Qingyi. In truth, calling her Qingyi was simply his way of being a bit more familiar and held no other intentions. On the other hand, addressing her as senior sister seemed to carry a different kind of undertone. Hearing this, Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat. Her beautiful eyes filled with a mixture of embarrassment and annoyance, and she felt as though she wanted to disappear into the ground. This man clearly had an unusual relationship with junior sister Xianxia, yet here she was, entangled in such an unclear situation with him. She tried once again to free her hand from Lu Changsheng's grasp. "Lu Daoist, what about you and Xianxia?" Chu Qingyi kept her head slightly lowered as she asked softly. Although she already knew the answer, she couldn't help but seek confirmation. "That's correct. Xianxia and I have already become Dao companions. But as senior sister knows, Xianxia cultivates the supreme forgetful love technique. Without overcoming the tribulation of emotions, breaking through to core formation is difficult for her. So we're waiting for her to complete her core formation breakthrough before holding the Dao companion ceremony." Xianxia, the novel of net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changsheng spoke with a calm and honest expression. He knew Chu Qingyi already suspected his relationship with Xianxia and was merely asking for confirmation. Though he could have lied to her and placated her temporarily, he, Lu someone, no matter how despicable, couldn't bring himself to do such a thing. Besides, the two women, being senior and junior sisters, would inevitably encounter each other in the future. It was better to disclose everything up front. What Xianxia and I have, Master has already approved of. In fact, The sun-moon samsara technique was given to us by Master to cultivate together. Lu Changxing continued, isn't it remarkable how the sun-moon samsara technique happened to lead me to the inheritance of the Tianyuan true monarch, allowing me to coincidentally use this cultivation technique to save you, senior sister? I heard from Xiaoxia that this sun-moon samsara technique was actually obtained by you and Master together in the Tianyuan secret realm. As he spoke, Lu Changsheng's hand gradually moved to rest on Chu Qingjia's fragrant shoulder, his smile warm and genuine. Stop, just call me Qing instead. Listening to him repeatedly mention Xiaoxia, senior sister, and Master in every other sentence, Chu Qingyi felt entirely at a loss, a surge of unspeakable embarrassment welling up within her. Though his addressing her like this wasn't inappropriate considering his relationship with Xiaoxia, she still found it hard to bear. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1326. Right now, their relationship was ambiguous and undefined. She couldn't comprehend how Lu Changxing managed to talk to her so intimately and nonchalantly. If she found out that her master also had some connection with Lu Changxing, she'd probably be utterly dumbfounded. All right, I won't say any more. Lu Changxing held Chu Qingjia's hand as they exited the Tianyuan lotus. You shameless man, not a single honest word comes out of your mouth. Just then, a cold and alluring voice resounded in Lu Changsheng's mind. Who's speaking? Lu Changxing paused momentarily, confused. In the next instant, he suddenly remembered Nangong Meili, the woman trapped in the formless treasure wheel. T, I knew I was forgetting something. Turns out I forgot about this woman. To be fair, Chu Qingjia's situation at the time was urgent beyond measure, leaving no room for distractions. Then one thing led to another, and she slipped from his mind. But wait, wasn't she sealed within the formless domain? How is she speaking? Lu Changxing activated his divine sense and swiftly understood the situation. The sealing divine light had used on Nangong Meili had somehow become ineffective without his notice. With her mana now accessible, Nangong Meili was using a goo insect to communicate with him telepathically. So this is the art of goo cultivation, huh? Although Lu Changxing had several heavenly goo insects himself, he wasn't familiar with goo cultivation techniques. But when did she break the seal? Or has she been secretly watching for a while and only now decided to speak up? Lu Changxing pondered silently. Well, it's just the mother of his child taking a look. That's no big deal. Back then, when he and Nangong Meili, didn't Meng Xiaochan and Ling Zixiao watch the entire time too? Meili, that's unfair. I've been nothing but honest to you. Have I ever deceived you? You're all my wings of support. Right now isn't the best time, but once I'm done with my work, I'll let you out immediately. Lu Changxing directed his voice toward Nangong Meili inside the formless domain. With Chu Qingyi next to him, it was clearly inconvenient to release Nangong Meili. After all, righteousness and demonic paths are inherently opposed. Someone like Ling Zixiao might not care much about the righteous versus demonic divide. But Chu Qingyi was a devout disciple of the Immortal sects, raised from childhood with the values of vanquishing demons and eliminating evil, holding firm to the notion that righteousness and demonic paths cannot coexist. If he were to release a demonic nascent soul immortal now, even if the other person didn't act aggressively, it would still affect how Chu Qingyi perceived him. You shameless man. Inside the formless domain, Nangong Meili's alluring and devilishly beautiful face darkened with frost and hurled another insult. She had already broken part of the seal when Lu Changxing helped Chu Qingyi form her golden core and used the mind goo to observe the situation outside. Seeing Lu Changxing assisting Chu Qingyi in condensing her core, she didn't take any action. After all, during their brief encounters, she'd come to understand that this man only responded to softness, not hardness. Earlier, he had shown mercy to her because of their past relationship and for the sake of their daughter, Nangong Yaoyao. If she caused trouble at such a critical moment, it would only provoke his wrath, and she wouldn't gain anything from it. Moreover, witnessing Lu Changsheng's formidable strength and seeing him condensing a superior golden core for Chu Qingyi, She was not only astonished but also began to harbor some complex thoughts. Given her current strength, she couldn't overpower him or make him nurture her true elixir anymore. She could only resort to other means, though the mere thought of such means made Nangong Meili feel deeply disdainful. But considering their situation, and the fact that they already had a daughter together, if these means could allow her true elixir to ascend to an immortal golden core, she wasn't entirely against the idea. Additionally, after witnessing Lu Changsheng's talent and power firsthand, the grudge she held from their earlier turbulent encounters seemed to have softened significantly. How shameless! I absolutely cannot let this shameless man get near Yao Yao. And these righteous sect women are just so gullible, easily believing his flowery words and fake sincerity. Nangong Meili sneered disdainfully as she watched the way Lu Changxing was sweet-talking Chu Qingyi. She thought Lu Changxing was shameless, and this woman utterly brainless. If someone like Chu Qingyi joined her five poisons cult, she'd probably get tricked out of her riches and still count the money for her deceivers. Then again, with this shameless man's handsome appearance and smooth-talking nature, it wasn't all that surprising that this righteous sect woman was fooled. Lu Changxing didn't continue chatting with Nangong Meili inside the formless treasure wheel. As long as she didn't cause trouble for him, there wasn't too much to worry about. After exiting the Tianyuan Lotus with Chu Qingyi, he briefly disguised them both and transformed into two Foundation establishment cultivators, heading toward the Great Dream Immortal City. At the city gate, numerous cultivators bustled to and fro. As soon as the crowd saw Lu Changxing and Chu Qingyi, they quickly moved aside with expressions of respect and reverence, clearing a path for them. Anywhere you go, Foundation establishment cultivators are still considered prominent figures. It seems that apart from having more aquatic demon beasts or water affinity treasures, this Great Dream Immortal City doesn't differ much from Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Lu Changxing entered the Immortal City and glanced at the shops on either side, silently musing to himself. He planned to check later if there were any aquatic bloodline spiritual beasts worth acquiring so he could raise some Blackwater Dragon Dao troops back home. Turning to Chu Qingyi, he said, "Qingyi, let's grab some food first." Although cultivators generally abstain from food after Foundation establishment, Lu Changxing, however, never let himself miss out on the pleasures of food all these years. Now that they'd arrived in Great Dream Immortal City, he wanted to sample the local delicacies. All right, Chu Qingyi, holding Lu Changxing's hand, was flushed with shyness and discomfort. Sir, the novel fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Even though they were disguised. Walking down the street like a couple still made her feel uneasy and out of place. Once they reached a restaurant in the inner city, Lu Changxing ordered some signature dishes. Noticing Chu Qingyi's unease, he sat beside her, gently stroked her cheek, and asked, "Qingyi, are you feeling unwell? If you're not feeling okay, you have to let me know." Lu Changxing's face was full of concern. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1327, Fine. Chu Qingyi gently shook her head and said, "She had merely felt uncomfortable just now." "I don't believe it. If you're really fine, smile for me and let me see." Lu Changxing said quite naturally, "By the way, I haven't seen what you look like when you smile." Chu Qingyi, she could smile of course. After all, in her daily life, there were always moments of happiness and joy. But being suddenly asked to smile on demand, she truly didn't know how. Her lips twitched slightly before she softly said, "I don't know how." "You don't even know how? Then allow your husband to show you a smile." Lu Changxing reached out with two fingers to pull at the corners of his lips, making a silly face and a grinning expression. Pfft. Even though Chu Qingyi's mental state was tightly wound, she couldn't help but laugh at Lu Changxing's antics, completely ignoring the fact that he referred to himself as your husband. "See? Didn't you end up smiling after all?" Lu Changxing watched her reaction and smiled, saying, "You should smile more often, you look beautiful when you do." Chu Qingyi, realizing she had lost some composure, toned down her smile slightly. She then looked up at the man before her and said, "Lu Daoist, Qingyi truly appreciates your great kindness and willingness to step in to save me. But you are Dao companions with Xianxia, and she is my sister disciple. I cannot do anything that would betray her. Moreover, my heart is devoted to cultivation, and I am uninterested in matters of romance between men and women. I hope that the matters between us will end here. As for your kindness, Qingyi will always remember it. Should there be a time in the future when you require my assistance, I will not hesitate to risk boiling waters or shattering bones. Your secret will also remain locked in my heart. I won't tell anyone." Qingyi summoned her courage, looked at Lu Changxing, and spoke earnestly. She had thought over these words for a long time, but hadn't known how to bring them up. With the way things were between them, ambiguous, overly intimate, it had stirred turmoil in her heart and cast a shadow over her sword heart. She no longer wished to delay and finally mustered the courage to make everything clear. Boiling waters, shattering bones? Why not simply offer yourself to me instead? Lu Changxing reflexively blurted out. However, noticing the woman pressing her lips into a tight line and looking solemn, he immediately adopted a serious demeanor and said, "If Xianxia were to know the circumstances at the time, I believe she would have wished for me to save Qingyi as well. Therefore, Qingyi, there is no need to feel guilty. Afterward, I will explain everything to Xianxia. As for matters of affection, such things should never be forced. Although I fell for you at first sight, it doesn't mean you are obliged to reciprocate. There's simply no such reasoning in this world, so Qingyi, you shouldn't feel any guilt. If Qingyi feels indebted for the events that transpired and forces yourself because of that, it would make me feel ashamed instead. In the days ahead, Qingyi, you may regard me as just an ordinary friend. There's no need to strain yourself." Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and spoke. Indeed, while Qingyi was troubled by her connection to Xianxia, even without that connection, someone like Qingyi was unlikely to easily be moved. Therefore, Lu Changxing hadn't deluded himself into thinking that saving her through dual cultivation would instantly make her fall for him. However, since he was already on board the metaphorical car, getting her to buy a ticket afterward would become much easier. Sigh. Qingyi heard his words but didn't feel any joy or relief. There's a saying, the hardest debts to repay are those of a Bowtie's grace. She felt that, in her case facing Lu Changxing, it was the hardship of repaying a handsome man's favor. From their first meeting, he had openly revealed his feelings, his affection, admiration, and pursuit of her beauty, without any attempt to hide. Though previously, he had indeed taken so many liberties with her, now his measured restraint and gentlemanly demeanor made him seem like a noble and courteous man, warming her like the spring breeze. It left her utterly at a loss. "Thank you, Lu Daoist." After saying what was on her mind, Qingyi felt as if a weight had lifted off her shoulders. She decided that once they were done wandering around these next few days, she would bid farewell to Lu Changxing and leave. Otherwise, continuing to spend time with Lu Changxing like this would keep disrupting her flawless sword heart, stirring up chaotic thoughts and emotional turbulence. "Let's eat first. Just relax and be natural," Lu Changxing said with a smile. "This woman is so idiotic. Do you think this dog of a man will let you off so easily?" In the formless domain, Nangong merely watched the scene unfold, her face full of disdain. However, seeing how Lu Changxing treated Qingyi while she herself remained suppressed in the domain, Nangong merely couldn't help but feel an inexplicable sense of frustration rising in her heart, sour, bitter, and vexed. She immediately sneered and cursed at Lu Changxing, "Dog of a man. Meili, are you jealous?" The old ancestor Lu, multitasking at once, maintained an outwardly calm appearance with a gracefully serene smile. "Scram!" Nangong merely instantly cursed coldly. "Heh!" Lu Changxing merely chuckled, planning to educate her about family discipline at some later time. Regularly accustomed to the finest delicacies, this meal was only mediocre to the old ancestor Lu. Qingyi, perhaps afraid that Lu Changxing might initiate a conversation with her again, ate very seriously, and in doing so presented a pleasing scene to behold. Let's go. After finishing the meal, Lu Changsheng effortlessly reached for Chu Qingjia's hand, preparing to continue shopping and visit a few merchant shops. Being held by Lu Changsheng in such a manner caused Chu Qingyi to tremble slightly, and she instinctively pulled her hand away, speaking softly, "Lu Daoist, didn't they just clarify everything moments ago? Why was he still being so close? What's wrong, Qingyi?" Lu Changsheng's gaze remained pure, his demeanor unperturbed as he replied, "I'm still planning to purchase some spiritual materials. Qingyi, do you need anything?" Sigh. Chu Qingyi inwardly sighed, thinking that with the situation as it was, she might as well go along with it for these few days. She lightly shook her head and said, "I don't need anything." After speaking, she paused and then softly added, "If Lu Daoist requires any materials, Qingyi can help." Being a nascent soul immortal of the Qingyun sect, she typically only exchanged heavenly and earthly treasures from the sect's treasury when needed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1328. It's also possible to post a task and have others search for it. This is far more convenient than relying on ordinary loose cultivators or clan cultivators. Alright, they'll take a look later at what's needed. When the time comes, he'll be counting on you, Qingyi. Xianxia the novel, the NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changsheng replied with a smile. The other party currently harbored guilt towards him. Asking her for help frequently could not only ease the situation but also draw them closer together. Moreover, he could use this reason in the future to seek out Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi watched him agree so quickly, thinking to herself whether she had misspoken. "TSK, my connections in the Qingyun sect are getting stronger and stronger." Lu Changsheng sighed inwardly. A few years later, when Xiaoxia breaks through to core formation, he will have 3 core formation backers in the Qingyun sect. But if Kaiyun True Immortal learns about Chu Qingjia's situation, will she still be willing to help him? She might just wish to cut him down with a single sword strike. Want some candied hawthorn? Lu Changsheng looked at a stall ahead and asked. No. Chu Qingyi shook her head gently. But Lu Changsheng still went ahead and purchased a skewer. Taking one bite, he remarked that it tasted pretty good and gestured for Chu Qingyi to try it. Chu Qingyi was momentarily startled, but upon meeting Lu Changsheng's tender and affectionate gaze, she parted her lips slightly and bit into one. The taste was unexpectedly good. Quite tasty, isn't it? Qingyi, you probably don't get the chance to stroll around like this very often, do you? Lu Changsheng said with a smile. There's a saying, if she is inexperienced in the world, show her the wonders of life. If she's weary of its burdens, share with her the simplicity of a carousel ride. For someone of Chu Qingjia's age, she must have experienced much and gained considerable insight. However, as Lu Changsheng saw it, her insight was mostly confined to the domain of cultivation. As for the chaos of the mortal world and personal affection, she has only superficial knowledge but little first-hand experience. So these ordinary little moments should strike a chord with her and become unforgettable memories. Chu Qingyi nodded slightly. Lu Changsheng smiled but didn't keep talking. Instead, he took her slender hand, walking side by side down the street, occasionally entering shops to inquire about goods and purchase spiritual materials. For some reason, this simple stroll gradually began to feel peculiar to Chu Qingyi. She reflected for a long time before pinpointing the source of this peculiarity. She seemed to no longer mind Lu Changsheng's close gestures. Moreover, their intimate behavior was strikingly similar to that of some couples or Dao companions seen occasionally on the street. At this moment, Lu Changsheng noticed a nearby Tianyi pavilion and said aloud, "The dresses here are quite nice. Qingyi, want to try one?" "No need." Chu Qingyi gently shook her head. "Qingyi, don't you usually have hobbies of your own?" Lu Changsheng didn't insist and casually asked. "Practicing swordsmanship." "Just sword practice and cultivation?" Lu Changsheng clicked his tongue and commented, "No wonder Qingyi has achieved such greatness. But if life consists only of cultivation and swordsmanship, don't you find it lonely and boring?" Chu Qingyi glanced at Lu Changxing, remained silent for a moment, and then softly said, "Morning spurns Bodhi, evening seeks great Luo, perilous passes and treacherous paths disdain solitude. Lifelong love for a 7-foot sword cuts through my illusions to reveal my true self." Lu Changxing hadn't expected his little ploy to be seen through by Chu Qingyi, who countered him so resolutely. Indeed, anyone who cultivated to core formation wasn't foolish. Chu Qingyi had already moved past her initial lost and uncertain state and knew how to handle him now. But even the fiercest woman can be won over with persistent affection. If one is willing to invest time and endure embarrassment, surely the beauty could be swept off her feet. For us cultivators, the purpose is naturally the pursuit of the great Tao. The sword Tao is undoubtedly alluring. I too once devoted myself wholeheartedly to swordsmanship. But later, I realized that the world is brimming with countless wonders and beautiful things. If one channels all their efforts into cultivation alone, neglecting and missing out on such experiences, they would regret it deeply in the end. Lu Changxing said softly, "Chu Qingyi, this isn't the same man with a harem and countless descendants, is it? How did he go from being obsessed with swordsmanship?" But thinking about Lu Changxing's swordsmanship heritage and the techniques had demonstrated before, she felt skeptical yet slightly convinced. Perhaps he had wholeheartedly pursued swordsmanship in his early years but later abandoned it to cultivate the talisman path and focus on his family? Wait, no, when he helped her break through core formation, he didn't seem to be a talisman cultivator either. Chu Qingyi was somewhat baffled. Still, she realized that Lu Changxing's words were likely an attempt to use the sword Tao as an analogy to sway her perspective. The world may indeed hold much beauty, but for us cultivators, cultivation is the foundation. Being too distracted will squander one's lifespan, ultimately hindering progress and resulting in genuine regret. Moreover, Qingyi isn't entirely uninterested in other things outside of swordsmanship and cultivation. It's simply a matter of priorities and choice. Chu Qingyi responded in a low voice. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1329. Does Qingyi truly understand the matter of choices and compromises? Life is but a journey of cultivation, and every experience is a passing scenery. If one encounters a delightful view, why not pause and savor it for a while? Lu Changxing chuckled lightly and said, "Besides, the great Tao is boundless. If one has 2 or 3 confidants to support each other and journey hand in hand through the vast years, wouldn't that be a great blessing as well?" Chu Qingyi did not retort. After a brief silence, she softly asked, "Lu Daoist, why did you abandon the sword Tao?" Even though she couldn't discern the truth in Lu Changxing's words, the time he used sword qi to dispel poison and the fact that he passed her, the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, both demonstrated his extraordinary talent in sword Tao and the significant effort he had invested in it. Under such circumstances, his choice to switch to cultivating another path truly puzzled her. Didn't I already mention it? In this world, there are simply too many beautiful things. If one devotes their entire focus to a single aspect, one might miss out on other wonderful things. Lu Changxing gently held Chu Qingyi's smooth jade-like hand and continued, "When I was cultivating sword Tao, I was utterly enamored. My heart was wholly immersed in it. Yet as I practiced, I gradually lost interest in everything else, unwilling to explore or attempt other pursuits, even feeling a certain disdain deep within. But later, I came across a talisman path cultivation technique. After a brief study, I discovered that I was even more intrigued by the talisman path. Afterward, due to my family's needs, I delved into spirit plant cultivation, spirit cooking, wine brewing, alchemy, and artifact refining. I found that every path within the 100 arts of cultivation possessed its own unique allure." Lu Changxing walked alongside Chu Qingyi down the street, speaking with a smile. "Lu Daoist, your talent and aptitude are truly rare in Qingyi's lifetime. But for cultivators like us, cultivation level is the absolute foundation." Chu Qingyi pursed her lips, glanced at Lu Changxing and remarked, She had heard of Lu Changsheng's reputation as the unparalleled master of pill and talisman. To her surprise, besides sword Dao and his prowess in alchemy and talisman making, Lu Changsheng had even studied so many additional arts. Moreover, he had transitioned from being a sword cultivator to a talisman cultivator, and now to another cultivation path. Could this person be the reincarnation of a celestial being? Even though Chu Qingyi herself understood some other cultivation techniques and the 100 arts of cultivation outside sword Dao, she only explored them in times of bottlenecks during her practice, to cultivate her character and gain insights from related disciplines. She would never spend much time or energy on them. Frankly, she lacked the abundant time and energy to do so. Yet Lu Changsheng, younger than her, had devoted such effort and still achieved a remarkable cultivation realm. It was truly astonishing and utterly inconceivable. Even though she had always been hailed as a genius, in the face of Lu Changsheng at this moment, she felt inferior. Qing Yi's words, "I naturally acknowledge." Lu Changsheng nodded with a smile and continued, "But 100 years of life is like a single day to a mayfly. Is there truly any meaning in longevity to me? Even if you and I achieve the golden core stage and enjoy a 500-year lifespan, it would simply be another form of entrapment. Wouldn't it be better to have a beautiful companion, descendants aplenty, and savor life's joys together in the mortal world? Even if one ultimately stumbles through life, it's better to leave no regrets. If one is solely focused on cultivation, looking back at a half-lifetime of solitude and coldness, could one's heart truly remain free of regrets?" Sir the Novelier. T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After finishing his words, Lu Changsheng sighed deeply and carried on, "I am different from Qing Yi. Born in meager circumstances, I've seen many loose cultivators who forsook their families, abandoned lovers, discarded friendships, and wandered far and wide just to seek immortality. Yet in the end, they lived in poverty and solitude, buried in desolate lands, with neither success nor lasting achievement in their Dao. Who could say that their Dao hearts were not resolute? But life is like a chess game. Once a move is made, there's no turning back." Lu Changsheng looked at Chu Qingyi sincerely and said, "I am not trying to persuade Qing Yi to give up cultivation or sword Dao. I only hope that while Qing Yi cultivates, you take more time to appreciate the scenery around you. Only then can life be without regrets, leaving behind no lingering remorse." Chu Qingyi carefully contemplated Lu Changsheng's words, finding them indeed reasonable. From a young age, she was taken in and nurtured by her master Yun Wansheng, who held high hopes for her. Thus, from the moment she could remember, cultivation became her duty and sole goal. Gifted with a natural sword heart, she grasped even the most advanced sword techniques and cultivation methods effortlessly, swiftly mastering them. Because of this, she dedicated her time and energy solely to sword Dao, gradually losing interest in other pursuits. Lu Daoist possesses a broad and profound perspective. He is no ordinary man. Chu Qingyi murmured softly. She understood Lu Changsheng was attempting to convince her and indeed resonated with his philosophy. However, she held her own thoughts and reasoning, not so easily swayed. Moreover, she truly didn't know how to handle emotions of this kind. "I am but a simple man, a commoner as plain as can be." Lu Changsheng, realizing it was not easy to persuade her, laughed while leading Chu Qingyi to a nearby jewelry store. Chu Qingyi, like a shy bride, allowed herself to be guided by him, mulling over his earlier words. She found Lu Changsheng quite peculiar, unlike most people she had encountered in her daily life. Before forming her core, many of her fellow disciples or cultivators from other immortal sects sought to pursue her. But those individuals always treated her like an exalted fairy, never once behaving as Lu Changsheng did. For a moment, she didn't know how to describe it: shameless, roguish, or perhaps carefree and unrestrained. "Here, Qingyi, try this. I think it suits you." While she pondered, Lu Changsheng picked up a plum blossom tassel hairpin and moved to place it on her. Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to say something, but, seeing the natural transparency reflected in Lu Changsheng's gaze, she was struck speechless and let him gather her long ponytail. His movements were practiced and didn't take advantage of her in any way. But as she beheld Lu Changsheng's affectionate and intimate demeanor, her heart, which had just barely calmed, once again churned into a tangled mess. Her delicate eyes carried a trace of shyness. As expected, beauty needs no embellishment. But Qing Yi still looks best in her original appearance, valiant and heroic, with sword intent radiating majestically. Lu Changsheng rubbed his chin, observed closely for a moment, and commented with a smile. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1330. On ordinary days, Chu Qingjia's delicate brows and ink-stained gaze, coupled with her cold sword-like eyes, rendered her beauty striking without the need for excessive adornment. Now, with their simple disguises, Chu Qingyi shed her usual aloofness. Her raven-black hair was tied up, and her entire bearing exuded an air of a gentle and virtuous wife, a grace that made one want to tease her tenderly. Lu Changsheng promptly planted a kiss on her smooth, fair cheek. Chu Qingjia's expression turned flustered, her beautiful eyes filled with embarrassed anger. This man claimed he wouldn't force her, didn't he? Earlier he had stubbornly held her hand, and now he was acting like this. Noticing the nearby shopkeeper watching them with a cheerful smile, Chu Qingyi shot Lu Changsheng a chastising glare before whispering, "Lu Daoist, didn't you say this would be the end of it previously?" The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Indeed, I said Qingyi needn't feel obliged or force herself. Lu Changsheng chuckled lightly, drawing closer under Chu Qingjia's furious yet shy gaze. If Qingyi dislikes it, you can just tell me directly. Chu Qingyi, this man remains as shameless as ever, constantly pushing boundaries. Yet, for some reason she was starting to get used to it. I noticed Qingyi hasn't said anything, nor did you resist. I thought you might not dislike it, Lu Changsheng said softly, and his words weren't even fully spoken before he leaned closer to her luscious lips. Chu Qingyi turned crimson with shame, attempting to resist but not daring to exert too much force. She could only press her pink lips together and gently push him away. After several breaths, her face burned with anger and embarrassment as she stammered, "You broke your promise." Even with her mild temperament, she couldn't help but feel frustrated at the moment. Looking at Chu Qingjia's cold yet clear gaze, as pure and tender as water, accompanied by her ashamed and angry expression, Lu Changsheng whispered, "I only thought Qingyi seemed burdened. I was hoping to cheer you up a little." Chu Qingyi, do you not understand why I seem burdened? And is this your idea of cheering someone up? Chu Qingyi pulled Lu Changsheng out of the shop, pursed her lips, mustering her courage to speak softly, "Lu Daoist, I have no intention of pursuing matters of romance, nor can I betray Shiyu. What if Shiyu doesn't mind?" Lu Changsheng suddenly interjected. Chu Qingyi froze, momentarily struck dumb. Yet upon reflection, if there weren't her junior sister's involvement, and no need to worry about being reprimanded by her master, it seemed she wouldn't feel as resistant after all. She quickly steadied her mind, shaking her head as she replied, "Lu Daoist, this isn't related to Shiyu. Right now, I am focused on cultivation and uninterested in affairs of romance." "I understand, Qingyi." Lu Changsheng's tone carried a trace of despondency. "Lu Daoist, for those who succeed in cultivation, all are absorbed in it, indifferent to emotional attachments. Matters of romance. Daoist, you have the talent of a heavenly being. You should prioritize cultivation," Chu Qingyi said, her heart feeling an inkling of pity. To her, Lu Changsheng focusing his thoughts on romantic matters was simply a waste of his natural gifts. Emotional attachments are fundamental to human nature. If ascension requires discarding them, what would be the meaning of cultivation? Lu Changsheng shook his head lightly as he replied, "Qingyi thinks I'm overly captivated by beauty and romance? But each person has their own path. I abandoned the sword Dao to experience various great Daos, and I discovered that this is the Dao I pursue." Lu Changsheng gazed at Chu Qingyi with utmost seriousness. This, Listening to his candid yet unmistakably infused with demon path ideology words, Chu Qingyi found herself at a loss for how to respond. So, I've become part of his Dao too? If he couldn't pursue me successfully, would that mean his great Dao wouldn't achieve perfection? She let out a sigh. Romantic entanglements and beauty are of no benefit to cultivation. Such pursuits are trivial paths. Daoist, with your celestial talents, you should transcend such distractions. That's why I call myself an ordinary man. I adore beauty, just as Qingyi loves swords. It has nothing to do with great Daos or small paths. Lu Changxing didn't argue further, chuckling lightly as he spoke. Chu Qingyi said no more. She understood her current state. If she kept arguing with him, she'd only end up influenced by this person. Lu Changxing remained undeterred, calmly holding Chu Qingyi's hand as they wandered leisurely. This shameless man, truly the absolute worst. Nangong Meili from the formless domain watched the scene unfold, her face icy with disdain as she muttered curses, feeling Lu Changxing was quite suited to walking the demon path. Yet, as she considered how he, despite his strength, was willing to humor Chu Qingyi and herself, she begrudgingly admitted he had his positives. Had he been like certain demonic path cultivators, arrogantly reckless, it would only awaken deep-seated disgust in her. Although the great dream Immortal city was bustling, it couldn't completely fulfill Lu Changsheng's procurement needs. Whether it was rare materials or earth-grade water bloodline dragon blood demon beasts, none could be obtained directly. He would have to wait for auctions or trading fairs. Passing by a pavilion with the words, Heaven Knowledge Tower, inscribed on it, Lu Changxing led Chu Qingyi inside to inquire about intelligence regarding the Tianyuan's secret realm, as well as the situations surrounding the Qingyun sect and by Lake Mountain. Moments later, the Heavenly Sword sect's Yun Jianfeng has broken through to Nascent Soul and joined Xianjian True Monarch in ambushing the Heavenly Fiend True Monarch at the Tianyuan's secret realm. Heavenly Fiend True Monarch's physical body was destroyed, and only his nascent soul allowed him to narrowly escape with his life. Lu Changxing read the information from the Jade Slip, astonished. Back in the Tianyuan's secret realm, he knew that nascent souls were clashing outside. It had even been mentioned by the Tianyuan True Monarch that 3 nascent soul cultivators were involved. But he never would have thought that the 3rd nascent soul True Monarch was also from the Heavenly Sword sect. It turned out to be Yun Jianfeng, the one who suppressed demonic path cultivators in Jiuxiao Immortal City years ago. This cultivator formed a superior gold core, and 5 or 6 decades ago was already regarded as second only to Xianjian True Monarch. Now breaking through to nascent soul, it's certainly reasonable, Lu Changxing mused inwardly. The Heavenly Sword sect gaining another nascent soul True Monarch was undeniably a major event. It might even impact the future trajectory of Jiang country, especially since both of these nascent soul True Monarchs seemed to be formidable figures. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1331. Back then, Xianjian True Monarch fought alone against 2 nascent souls of Jin Kingdom. Now, this absolute sword True Monarch, shortly after breaking through to Nascent Soul, almost ambushed a Nascent Soul True Lord with Xianjian True Monarch, which is clearly extraordinary. Could it be that what Yun Wanshang mentioned about the Pioneer Order is actually Heavenly Sword sect's intent to expand the territory of Jiang country? Or perhaps, with long-standing conflicts between Liang country and Yu country, Jiang country and Yu country intend to take the initiative, sparking a war in the cultivation world? Lu Changxing speculated in his heart. Having an additional nascent soul True Lord in Jiang country is naturally a good thing. But the resources needed for a nascent soul True Lord to cultivate are also immense. As a sect's ancestor, if one does not venture out to seek opportunities and resources, the most common way is to seize resources through war. Qingyi, do you know about Absolute Sword True Monarch's breakthrough? At this moment, Lu Changxing thought of the Qingyun sect authority beside him and asked aloud. Yes, Absolute Sword True Monarch had already cultivated to the peak of core formation, always waiting for the opportunity to break through to nascent soul. Xianxia True Monarch calculated that Absolute Sword True Monarch's breakthrough opportunity lay in the Tianyuan's secret realm, which is why the Tianyuan's secret realm was sealed in earlier years, due to Absolute Sword True Monarch's attempt to breach nascent soul. Chu Qingyi said softly. Though this matter was considered a secret, now that the Tianyuan's secret realm affair is over, it's not much of a secret anymore. Absolute Sword True Monarch broke through to nascent soul in the Tianyuan's secret realm? Lu Changxing was surprised in his heart. He had previously heard that there were nascent soul opportunities in the Tianyuan's secret realm, thinking it was fake news, with someone deliberately muddying the waters. Unexpectedly, the rumors turned out to be true, and this newly advanced True Monarch successfully broke through in the Tianyuan's secret realm. Yes, I heard from the Supreme Elder that breaking through from core formation to nascent soul requires not only one's foundation but also the influence of celestial transformations and mysterious destiny. The Tianyuan's secret realm not only has a fourth-rank spirit vein but also possesses a celestial fortune, perfectly suited for Absolute Sword True Monarch to assault nascent soul. Chu Qingyi spoke up and said so. Lu Changxing nodded slightly. Regarding the breakthrough from core formation to nascent soul, he had heard about it from Wang Lin. It not only requires the right time, place, and people but is also connected to the mysterious destiny of heaven and earth. Therefore, to break through to nascent soul, many people will wait for the right opportunity. Is Xianxia True Monarch also a diviner? At this point, Lu Changxing thought about what Chu Qingyi had said about Xianxia True Monarch's calculation and couldn't help raising an eyebrow, inquiring aloud. Yes, Xianxia True Monarch's divination art is extraordinary, being the top divination grandmaster in Jiang country. Chu Qingyi nodded gently. These individuals who can become nascent soul True Monarchs are indeed remarkable, especially this Xianxia True Monarch, who is not only formidable in combat but also skilled in divination. Lu Changsheng's eyes slightly narrowed, feeling that interacting with nascent soul immortals was alright. However, when it comes to nascent soul true lords and those proficient in divination, it's best to avoid them. Although the art of divination can only make vague predictions, for these individuals, if they predict you have issues, it's troublesome. But with the mysterious heaven spiritual vine at home suppressing destiny, as long as he's not noticed, there shouldn't be major issues. He continued to ask, Qingyi, now that Heavenly Sword Sect has an additional nascent soul true lord, will they initiate a war of expansion or a cultivation war? Heavenly Sword Sect intends to pioneer the Myriad Beasts mountain range, but as for a cultivation war, I am not certain at the moment. Chu Qingyi said so. Currently, in the cultivation world of Jiang country, besides the Myriad Beasts mountain range, there aren't many spirit veins open for pioneering. For mountain ranges like Luoyun Mountain Range, Heavenly Sword Sect doesn't even consider it. Even if they plan to pioneer, it's up to forces like Qingyun Sect, Luoxia Sect, and Spirit Taming Sect to decide based on circumstances. Lu Changxing nodded, understanding that once Heavenly Sword Sect decides to pioneer, it will undoubtedly impact other immortal forces. Qingyi, if you reach the peak of core formation and want to assault nascent soul, can you use the dojo of Heavenly Sword Sect for the breakthrough? At this moment, Lu Changxing thought of a question. He remembered that the spiritual vein of Qingyun Sect lacks the fourth rank, unable to support a nascent soul cultivator's breakthrough. So he was curious, if Yun Wanshang cultivates to the peak of core formation, could she go to Heavenly Sword Sect for the breakthrough? After all, Jiang country's 4 great immortal sects are like branches of the same tree, so borrowing the spiritual vein dojo for a breakthrough sounds reasonable. If you pay a certain price, it should be possible. However, breaking through to nascent soul emphasizes the right time, place, and people, and the mysterious fortune of timing, so most people choose to go out on adventures to seek nascent soul opportunities. Chu Qingyi thought for a moment before saying so. Search * the novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Although 4th rank spirit veins are rare, according to records of Qingyun Sect, there are quite a few 4th rank immortal cities in the southern wilderness. As long as one pays the price, going to these immortal cities for a breakthrough is also possible. Even though the four great immortal sects seem like branches of the same tree, it's uncertain whether Heavenly Sword sect wants them to produce more nascent soul cultivators or not. After all, though the four great immortal sects seem to be of the same level, everyone knows that Jiang country only acknowledges Heavenly Sword sect as the overlord. Lu Daoist, if you want to assault nascent soul in the future, you might visit the major fourth-rank immortal cities first, Chu Qingyi said in a low voice. In her view, with Lu Changsheng's talent, he is bound to assault nascent soul in the future. I'm just asking. Lu Changsheng laughed. He still has a long way to go before reaching nascent soul. Who knows, one day the system might give him a fourth-rank spirit vein, so there's no rush now. However, from Chu Qingyi's words, he realized that the relationship between the four great immortal sects is not as harmonious as it appears on the surface. It's quite normal when you think about it. Now the four great immortal sects are stable. But if the Qingyun sect, Luoxia sect, or spirit taming sect produces a nascent soul true lord, can the balance still be maintained? Can the cultivation world of Jiang country really support so many nascent soul true lords? Then, Lu Changsheng turned to the latest information and intelligence from Qingyun sect and by Lake Mountain. From it, he saw the information that Qingyun sect's Qingyi true master went missing in the Tianyuan secret realm, and by Lake Mountain's ancestor, Lu Changsheng, was ambushed by a nascent soul immortal in the Tianyuan secret realm, suspected to have fallen in the secret realm. Why is it that you went missing, but am merely suspected to have fallen in the secret realm? Lu Changsheng felt a bit displeased seeing this information. Although Heaven Knowledge Tower is an intelligence organization, it's impossible for them to verify everything, and some intelligence information will be subjectively judged. I am an elder of Qingyun sect, and unless the sect itself disseminates exact information, there will be no external news regarding my fall. Seeing Lu Changsheng's reaction, Chu Qingyi found it somewhat amusing and said softly, Lu Changsheng nodded, thinking that after experiencing such an incident, his wives and children at home would definitely be worried. Although they might be able to reach him through the Mount Sumru Tree King and ensure his safety as long as he's not noticed, there shouldn't be too much of a problem. Well, if there's nothing else, I should be heading back. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath, and the thought of flirting disappeared. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1332, Great Dream Marsh. The vast waters stretch endlessly, majestic and boundless. Qin-yi, since this is not to your liking, let's part here. Lu Changsheng suddenly looked at Chu Qingyi, sighed and said, with our parting today, I will consider this time as nothing but a dream. When we meet again in the future, let us regard each other as fellow Daoists. While speaking, he released Chu Qingyi's slender, fair hand and slowly put on a ring. As if noticing Chu Qingyi's puzzlement, Lu Changsheng whispered, it's just a little trinket I bought earlier, doesn't cost much, just consider it a memento. If you don't like it, feel free to throw it away. Chu Qingyi was slightly stunned. She had sensed before that Lu Changsheng seemed troubled. Thought he was worried about family matters. Now hearing these words, she realized he was conflicted about his own issues. Search * the novelier. T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Looking at Lu Changsheng with eyes no longer filled with gentle affection, but rather with calm and composure, Chu Qingyi's expression became slightly dazed. As if the tender words, the sweet affection from before, were all just a dream. Did he really just let go like this? Was it because her previous rejection hurt him? Or did he understand her true desires and chose to let go? Regarding our matter, if Master asks, Chu Daoist, you don't need to hide anything. I will explain to Shiyu and Master myself. As for others, I hope Chu Daoist will cover for me a little. If anything happens, you can come to by Lake Mountain to find me anytime. After speaking, Lu Changsheng showed a trace of gentle reluctance in his eyes. Yet with a resolute demeanor, he cupped his hands and transformed into a divine rainbow, flying towards the 9 heavens gang wind. Chu Qingyi looked at the vanished Lu Changsheng. All the interactions between them over the past few days surged to her heart unexpectedly. She bit her lip lightly, looking at the ring on her slender fingers, feeling somewhat at a loss, just feeling empty and lost. Sigh. A moment later, Chu Qingyi sighed deeply. Whether it was in the Tianyuan Lotus where he exerted great effort to save her, or the intimate time spent in the dream immortal city, it was all unforgettable for her. Perhaps at any time she would think of him. Especially he left her with this ring before leaving. Afraid that in the future, seeing this ring would uncontrollably remind her of him. Even though he said if she didn't like it, she could throw it away. But could she throw away the ring, erase his traces? Chu Qingyi knew that her sword heart had already gathered dust. Taking a deep breath, her beautiful eyes gradually became clear and determined, her sword intent sharp. Then she transformed into a sword light and shot up into the sky, disappearing. In the 9 heavens gang wind, Lu Changxing was stepping on the starlight plate, surrounded by the flowing luster of countless stars. He certainly did not really intend to separate from her forever. Simply knowing Chu Qingyi's character, capturing her heart would not be achieved in a moment, better to alternate between warmth and cold for a while. Moreover, being born with a sword heart, her years of cultivation have already made her dedication to the sword surpass emotional attachments. Even if feelings have stirred in her heart, a period of calm is needed, waiting for the seed to slowly sprout, not too hastily. As for giving the ring, besides hoping she would think of him when seeing the ring, it is also a form of probing. Even if she throws away the ring, she can't stop cultivating, right? Lu Changsheng's mental spirit stirred slightly, his qi ocean core trembled, and a faint golden transparent wheel appeared, spiraling in his hand. Buzz, a woman of breathtaking beauty and sensuality appeared, her skin fair as jade, curves astonishing, wearing a purple dress. Mealy, it's been hard on you these days. Lu Changsheng looked at the purple-dressed woman, her face filled with anger, and gently said, reaching out to clasp her seemingly boneless slender hand. Go away, you scoundrel. Nangong Mealy, having seen Lu Changsheng being affectionate with Chu Qingyi, was naturally displeased, feeling jealous and bitter. Now released from the formless domain by Lu Changsheng, her pent-up anger suddenly erupted. She slapped his hand away. Ha, still jealous, are you? You know the situation before. If Qingyun sect found out you were in Jiang country, it would definitely cause trouble, so I did it for your own good. Lu Changxing didn't get angry, spoke with a laugh. Humph, that woman is still recovering from serious injury, hardly my opponent. Nangong Mealy said with disdain, her face icy. Though suppressed by Lu Changxing, she was nonetheless a core formation middle stage cultivator. Mealy, you didn't cause trouble for me before, I'm very happy, but I don't like the way you're speaking now. Lu Changxing glanced at her, his voice calm and indifferent, yet carried unquestionable authority. With women like Chu Qingyi, gentle words are appropriate. But with women like Nangong Mealy, it's clearly ineffective. Even speaking kindly to her might cause her to disdain you. Who wants you to like it? And who's your wife? Nangong Mealy said with a look of disgust and contempt. Facing Chu Qingyi, he was so gentle, but with her he showed no patience. You came to Jiang country not just for the Tianyuan secret realm, but for another purpose, didn't you? Lu Changsheng's expression was calm, speaking blandly. Previously in the Tianyuan secret realm, Nangong Mealy suddenly attacked him, using a love gu, which made him suspect she came from more than just the Tianyuan secret realm, possibly to seek revenge. After all, the loss from the Lockhart gu, she surely wouldn't swallow it. Moreover, when they united energetically, he used the yin-yang energies to nurture her true elixir, bringing out some golden core charm. For a nascent soul cultivator, the transformation of true elixir into golden core is an irresistible temptation. Surely she wouldn't want to miss it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1333. So Lu Changxing guessed, this woman was using the love gu on him, having such intentions. Naturally, you humiliated me back then, used the Lockhart gu on me and Xiaochun. How can this grudge be easily dismissed? Nangong Mealy was dressed in a purple gauze dress, her figure gracefully alluring. Even with her face cold as frost at this moment, She still exuded enchanting charm, utterly seductive. 100 years cultivate crossing the same boat, 1,000 years cultivate sharing the same bed, there's no overnight grudge between husband and wife. This matter has passed for so long, let the rights and wrongs be left behind. Lu Changxing was too lazy to argue or explain anything to the other party, speaking up. Nangong merely couldn't believe this person had the audacity to speak such shameless words. Who would cultivate sharing the same bed with you? All right, tell me how you've been these years, and the situation with Yao Yao and Xiaochan. Lu Changsheng's voice softened a bit, speaking up. Not only feeling a bit guilty towards his daughter, but also towards Meng Xiaochan. After all, the Lockhart Gu has troubled her until now. And Nangong merely knew the Lockhart Gu was related to Meng Xiaochan, she would certainly blame her. These have nothing to do with you. Nangong Mili's willow eyebrows furrowed, her long Danfeng eyes shone with a cold light, like a thorny rose. Even though she knew, as long as she obediently yielded, she might obtain golden core opportunities from Lu Changxing. But as the dignified heavenly spider envoy of the Five Poisons cult, does she need to lose face? Besides, if she were to yield, what if afterwards this dog man competes with her for her daughter? Right now, she was most worried that Lu Changxing would take away her daughter. Mili, as your husband I speak well to you, why won't you speak well to me? Lu Changxing frowned, feeling this woman was simply incessant. One must know his patience is limited. I have nothing to say to you, this person. Nangong Mili snorted disdainfully with full contempt. Alas! Lu Changxing looked at Nangong Mili's exquisitely beautiful face, and sighed helplessly. If softness doesn't work, then he can only be hard, educating her well, conquering her. In the next moment, Nangong Mili saw Lu Changxing closing in. An invisible domain confined her. Her complexion changed slightly. She said coldly, Lu Changxing, what are you doing? There's no overnight grudge between husband and wife. If there is, conflicts at the head of the bed, peace at the foot. Lu Changxing looked at Nangong Mili trying to escape. Suddenly an astonishing amount of mana surged out. The terrifying spiritual pressure distorted the world. Buzz buzz buzz, see to Jovel Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Behind him, the formless treasure wheel spun, like a golden sun burning. Yin-yang energies flowed around him, spreading wildly, forming a yin-yang Daoist chart, sealing the heavens and earth. The law domain has little effect on nascent soul cultivators. However, Lu Changxing being the yin-yang great Dao golden core, with the formless treasure wheel's blessing, even against nascent soul immortals has certain effects of mana confinement, sealing the heavens. Boom! At the same time, Lu Changsheng's chest 9 treasures Rui bone emitted brilliant 9-colored rays. Symbols like tadpoles intertwined, surged, were injected into Nangong Mili's physique, her meridians and dantian. Originally breaking the sealing divine light, Nangong Mili suddenly felt the mana in her body slowing. Immediately after, Lu Changxing domineeringly embraced the beauty before him. No doubt, Nangong Mili was born to be a seductress. Evidently slender figure, yet the body was explosive to the extreme, with curves, utterly alluring. Truly every inch of skin, every part, exuded soul-stirring fatal temptation. Lu Changxing, you dog man, what are you doing? Nangong Mili's expression turned pale. She hurriedly shouted. Spoken well and you don't listen, hence I'll let you know what husbandly authority means. As Lu Changxing spoke, rip, he directly tore Nangong Mili's exquisite and gorgeous clothes into rags, revealing skin as white as snow, partly hidden and partly visible, irresistibly seductive. Bastard, Lu Changxing you bastard. Nangong Mili felt extremely humiliated. A surge of indescribable emotion arose in her heart. Even though decades had passed, she still remembered the pain and humiliation when Lu Changxing abused her back then. Mili, are you deliberately provoking me, just waiting for this ordeal in your heart? Lu Changsheng's physique was robust, making Nangong Mili unable to struggle or move. He whispered close to her earlobe, which was like flawless jade. The magnetic bass of his voice made Nangong Mili's delicate body tremble. her long slender legs radiant and tingling. "You're talking nonsense, dogman. Stay away from me." Nangong Meili's face was full of humiliation and fury. She gritted her teeth. Earlier seeing Lu Changxing condensing the superior grade gold core for Chu Qingyi, she had guessed that nurturing golden core charm might require this ordeal. Yet how would she expect such an ordeal? "Really, I feel your body, Meili, is quite honest." Lu Changxing teased Nangong Meili's ear, which was like jade fat, with his tongue, his hands measuring the slippery and soft fullness and the enticing round curves. "Lu Changxing, you are simply a bastard, shameless." Nangong Meili, although gritting her teeth fiercely, her head slightly raised, her exquisitely beautiful face showing a few enchanting blushes, making her incredibly alluring. Even though Lu Changxing was battle-hardened, seeing Nangong Meili incredibly charming and seductive, yet authoritative and stunningly beautiful, he felt somewhat restless, having an impulse to conquer her. Yet he still maintained rationality, knowing this place belonged to the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer, possibly having nascent soul immortal passing by. Immediately driving the starlight plate, like a comet, he rushed towards the Great Dream Marsh below. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1334, Whoosh. Just as they entered the water's surface, the two of them entered the Tianyuan Lotus. It had to be said, with the Tianyuan Lotus as a cave heaven treasure, everything became much more convenient. Lu Changxing. Stop now. Lu Changxing, I must kill you. The time passed slowly. No one knew how long it had been. Nangong Meili's delicate cheeks were blushing pink, with a few strands of sweaty hair sticking to them. Her tender red lips were slightly parted, breathing warmth, her whole body softened like silk, motionless. Her full forehead, perfect cheeks, slender jade-like neck, exquisite collarbone, flawless jade body, all covered in fine beads of sweat, shining with a pink hue, saintly yet alluring, making one's blood race. The originally cold and beautiful phoenix eyes were now misty, halfway open and closed, with a trace of seductive charm swirling within. Sir, the novel fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Meili, I told you, there are no overnight grudges between husband and wife. Lu Changxing looked at the marks on her snowy skin, unable to keep tormenting any further. After all, men tend to be soft-hearted. Even though he had been stern with Nangong Meili before. But after several rounds of torment, seeing her so weak and helpless, he felt a little heartache. After all, one's wife still needed some cherishing. And such matters in excess would not be good. Nangong Meili remained silent, her phoenix eyes filled with shame and hatred. In those days she was severely injured and burdened by her Dao heart vow and her disciple Meng Xiaochan, so she was humiliated and trampled by Lu Changxing in every way. But now, she had no power to resist in front of Lu Changxing. Whether in cultivation level and magical power or physical physique, she was completely suppressed by him. And at the speed Lu Changxing was growing, she feared she would never have a chance for revenge. Alright, now tell me about your situation these years. Lu Changxing wiped the fragrant sweat from Nangong Meili's body, speaking gently. He then added, if you keep being stubborn, don't blame your husband for being rude. Nangong Meili just wanted to retort, but the burning pain on her snowy backside made her heart tremble with a difficult-to-describe feeling. She glared at Lu Changxing, saying coldly, Fine, no need for you to worry. Fine, then why do you keep running to Jiang country every day? Do you not know the Tianyuan secret realm is dangerous? This time, a nascent soul true lord almost died. Isn't your level just courting death? Hearing this, Lu Changxing spoke with discontent. A nascent soul true lord almost died? Nangong Meili was somewhat surprised, although she knew the Tianyuan secret realm was causing quite a stir. But being suppressed by Lu Changxing in the formless domain, she was unclear of the result. Yun Jianfeng broke through to nascent soul, ambushing the heavenly fiend true monarch of the heavenly slaughter sect outside the secret realm with Xianjian true monarch, causing his physical body to shatter, and only his nascent soul managed to escape. The nascent soul cultivators that came with you to make trouble were nearly all dead. Lu Changxing recounted the situation of the secret realm, then coldly said, "If something were to happen to you, what about Yao Yao?" Hearing this, Nangong Meili suddenly felt a bit fortunate in her heart. Though she had the misty sky bead with her, in such a situation, it was really hard to say if she could escape unharmed. Yet, though she was wrong and guilty, seeing Lu Changxing reprimand her coldly, she still looked unconvinced as she said, "What does that have to do with you?" Smack! A crisp sound rang out. The snowy white and crimson-red surface stirred up a mesmerizing wave. "Lu Changxing, I'll fight you to the end." Nangong Meili's disheveled hair, her crimson face full of shame and coldness, said through gritted teeth. However, before she finished speaking, Lu Changxing had already subdued her. "How did you manage to get to this point in the demon sect, not understanding a bit of the situation? Or perhaps you think I won't kill you, so you dare to act like this?" Lu Changxing spoke with furrowed brows. Nangong Meili's heart trembled. It seemed like she indeed did not unconsciously worry about Lu Changxing killing her. Just like when Lu Changxing was suppressing her before, she could have fought back, using a life-saving goo insect, but she did not choose to do so. "Or maybe, you just like me treating you this way?" Lu Changxing leaned close to her delicate crystalline earlobe, speaking softly. Her earlobe seemed small and delicate, yet was plump and fleshy, sweet and chewy, truly a superb flavor to taste. Lu Changxing gave it a lick, took it into his mouth, savoring it gently. Nangong Meili's breath suddenly quickened, her brow furrowed, swatting away Lu Changxing's actions, her face lush and enticingly beautiful. She said, "Get lost, don't think everyone is like you." "Heh." Lu Changxing chuckled softly, reached out to caress Nangong Meili's rosy cheeks. Nangong Meili instinctively tried to dodge, speaking coldly, "What do you want to do?" Though the person before her wouldn't kill her, he would humiliate her in 100 ways. "Your hair is a bit messy, let me smooth it out." Lu Changxing spoke gently, smoothing a few strands of sweaty hair from her cheek behind her ear. Nangong Meili, seeing this behavior from him, a strange feeling arose in her heart. "Did you come over this time looking for my nurturing true elixir?" Lu Changxing continued speaking. This woman, although she admired the strong, was also strong-willed, and couldn't be pressed too hard or treated too excessively. Give a big stick, then a sweet treat, only then can you slowly tame. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1335. That's right. Nangong Meili frankly admitted. After all, this was her purpose for coming. If she denied it, saying she came just for revenge would seem too fake. But this man mentioned it proactively. Did he want to nurture her golden core? Hee. Lu Changxing chuckled, gently caressing Nangong Meili's coldly beautiful cheek, whispering, "You know, as your husband, I always bend to gentleness rather than strength." Nangong Meili's eyes were clear and narrow, like swirling smoke on water, understanding what he meant. If she wanted to nurture the golden core, she had to yield and ask him. They already had this relationship, and being treated this way now, lowering her head and yielding didn't seem like a big deal. After all, compared to the opportunity of the golden core, what's yielding? Many people want it but can't obtain it. But thinking about everything between herself and Lu Changxing, Nangong Meili couldn't lower her head. Hee, I don't ask much of you, just speak nicely." Lu Changxing's handsome face, eyes warm, spoke gently. Upon hearing these calm words, an indescribable feeling surged within Nangong Meili. This wretched man was like a storm earlier, but he didn't mistreat her as he did back then. Otherwise, with this wretched man's physique, even though she was a nascent soul immortal, shed still. Moreover, Lu Changxing had helped heal her injuries in the past and gifted her an exotic treasure. Now, he suppressed her, but it was her who initiated, indirectly saving her life. Even the recent humiliation she endured was sparked by her provoking him. Thinking this way, Nangong Meili suddenly felt that maybe it was her fault. "All right, tell me about the years past, as I have genuinely cared about you and Yao Yao." Xianxia the novel, the NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing continued to speak gently, pulling Nangong Meili into his embrace, resting his chin on her silky hair. Even though Nangong Meili knew Lu Changxing's appearance was deceitful, she softened a bit, speaking softly. After my injuries healed mostly, I traversed the myriad beasts mountain range with Xiaochan back to Jin Kingdom. As for other things, there's nothing much to say. She understood that Lu Changxing, unlike many righteous cultivators, didn't hold too much of a difference between righteousness and demonic paths. But ultimately, he wasn't a demonic path cultivator. There was nothing to say about her doings in the Five Poisons cult to Lu Changxing. Traversing the myriad beasts mountain range, Lu Changxing nodded slightly, aware of Nangong Meili's situation and the danger she and Meng Xiaochan faced crossing the myriad beasts mountain range. Moreover, traveling from the myriad beasts mountain range to Jin Kingdom required taking a large detour. What about Yao Yao? Lu Changxing continued to inquire, being the matter he cared about most. Yao Yao is my daughter, has nothing to do with you. Lu Changxing, I warn you, don't have any ideas about her. Nangong Meili immediately said with vigilance. Yet her exquisitely beautiful face still held a trace of spring charm that made her appear enchanting and rendered her utterly lacking in intimidation. She is my daughter, how can I not care for her? Lu Changxing replied helplessly. Nonetheless, from Nangong Meili's reaction, he understood she truly loved her daughter dearly, needing no worry about her daughter being bullied. As for whether the daughter had grown crooked, Lu Changxing wasn't concerned anymore. Having such a mother and growing up in Five Poisons cult, it'd be a miracle if she didn't. Thus, Lu Changxing had mentally prepared in advance to avoid disappointment when they met. Humph, whatever you say, she's my daughter and has nothing to do with you. Nangong Meili coldly fixed her elegant eyes, not yielding even a bit. Her daughter Nangong Yao Yao was her bottom line. Even if she wanted Lu Changxing to nurture her golden core, she wouldn't hand her daughter over to him. Jin Kingdom, places like the Five Poisons cult are ultimately not good places. Yao Yao growing up in such an environment isn't good. Lu Changxing sighed slightly. What's wrong with the Five Poisons cult? Is it better at your by Lake Mountain? Nangong Meili was instantly annoyed. Although the demonic path had a bad reputation. For her, righteous and demonic were the same. Where's the righteousness better? Moreover, she was the heavenly spider envoy of Five Poisons cult. Her daughter had access to abundant resources and future prospects, expected to achieve core formation, even capable of nascent soul. In by Lake Mountain, this wretched man's wives and children were countless. What would he provide her daughter? All right, tell me about Yao Yao's situation. Lu Changxing saw she was exasperated, embraced her graceful figure, smoothing her silky hair while enjoying her fragrant scent. Unsure whether it was due to her cultivation method or the effect of the profound charming body, the fragrance was delightful. Nangong Meili's fleeting emotions quickly dissipated. She realized this man was truly changeable. When he was opposing her earlier, it was as if, now he's unexpectedly gentle. However, this gentle demeanor made Nangong Meili feel a wave of tenderness surge within. Yao Yao is doing well, she has already broken through to foundation establishment and can stand on her own. Nangong Meili spoke softly, eyes gleaming with pride. Her daughter's talent far exceeded her mother's. Her future accomplishments would surpass hers, making her deeply proud of her daughter Nangong Yao Yao. Yet thinking about being away for so long, missing her daughter, a sense of longing arose within her. Since her daughter's birth, she had always been by her side. Later, I'll accompany you to Jin Kingdom and well visit Yao Yao. Lu Changxing found Nangong Meili's demeanor amusing, pinching her cheek. No. She's my daughter and has nothing to do with you. Hearing this, Nangong Meili immediately lost her temper again, pushing Lu Changxing away, speaking coldly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1336. In her eyes, this man just wants to take her daughter away. Even being so gentle to her, all calculated, is to take her daughter away. Just like in the past, he tormented her in every possible way, but when he knew she was pregnant, he suddenly acted all tender and affectionate. Thinking of this, Nangong Mili suddenly felt a surge of grievance in her heart. She's my daughter too. Lu Changsheng looked at her protective demeanor and was somewhat speechless, as if he would harm his own daughter. Seeing Nangong Mili still with a frosty expression, her phoenix eyes full of wrath, Lu Changsheng immediately pinned her underneath. This woman still owes, Lu Hongshu, you bastard. Shameless scum. Dogman. Nangong Mili cursed, feeling humiliated and angry, with rage interwoven inside her. To think she, a dignified nascent soul immortal, the heavenly spider envoy of the Five Poisons cult in Jin Kingdom, is now being treated so wantonly by Lu Changsheng. Afterwards, Lu Changsheng looked at the jelly-like, weak Nangong Mili and once again sealed her within the formless treasure wheel. Even though the Tianyuan lotus possesses a cave heaven, he hasn't fully refined it and cannot imprison her yet. Moreover, there are still many things in the Tianyuan lotus, like the infant cultivation flower and heaven-replenishing fungus. If this woman went crazy and destroyed them, he truly wouldn't have a place to cry. Dogman, dogman. Nangong Mili shouted, cursing as she saw Lu Changsheng seal her within the formless domain again. But under the recent humiliation, her jade face flushed, her body soft and powerless, her voice thin as silk, as if coquettishly whimpering. Please. Nangong Mili rubbed her burning snow-white bottom. In her heart, she thought how this man was full of tenderness a moment ago, and the next, turned hostile, confronting her harshly as if wanting her to kneel on the ground. Dog man, this vengeance? Nangong Mili gritted her teeth, trying to say harsh words. But thinking she was completely no match for Lu Changsheng, she wondered what to do if he heard and tormented her again. If this continues, she might really die. Sooner or later, I will make you repay every drop of humiliation you inflicted on me, 100-fold. Nangong Mili snorted softly, thinking this in her heart. Years ago, she thought of finding Lu Changsheng to exact revenge, seeing him full of regret, crying miserably, begging for mercy on his knees, licking her high heels. For some reason, thinking of this scene now, Nangong Mili's soft and powerless delicate body couldn't help but tremble uncontrollably, her breathing suddenly rapid. After imagining for a moment, Nangong Mili looked at her chi ocean core, where the yin-yang fish swam around, and a surge of indescribable emotions arose in her heart. She closed her eyes, quietly refining this yin-yang energies. Lu Changsheng looked at Nangong Mili in the formless domain, her face suddenly flushed, breathing rapid, looking joyous, and was a bit dumbfounded. What's going on? Does this woman have some hidden attribute? She's always suppressed herself in front of him, and now being sealed in the formless domain, she stops pretending? Lu Changsheng looked at Nangong Mili in the formless domain, her jade body graceful, her figure enchanting, only wrapped in a layer of purple gauze, breathtakingly beautiful. He found it extremely stimulating, planning to try it later. After all, with Nangong Mili's strong personality, coupled with her status, it's easy to have certain thoughts. Who? Lu Changsheng took a deep breath, exhaled, discarded the distracting thoughts, and steered the starlight plate, flying towards the direction of Bai Lake Mountain with all his strength. It's been 4 months since the news about the fall of Lu Changsheng, the ancestor of Bai Lake Mountain, in the Tianyuan's secret realm. Although the Lu family denied it, stating Lu Changsheng's soul lamp was still lit, most forces have assumed this Lu ancestor has fallen. With Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu heading to Golden Dragon Ridge to establish their might, the reputation of Bai Lake Mountain remained secure, and no one dared to challenge them openly. However, secretly, some family forces were making moves to test the situation. For example, Lu Rui led a Lu family merchant team that encountered several ambushes en route. But besides Lu Rui, the team also had Zhou Datong and a loose cultivator who recently broke through at Bai Lake Mountain. With 3 Foundation establishment cultivators holding the fort, they did not face much danger. After all, with a precedent set, even if forces wanted to challenge the Lu family, they did not dare to do so overtly. And after the news reached by Lake Mountain, Lu Wangshu sent over 3 second-rank puppets. Lu Xianxia also ordered his son Lu Xuanyu to bring the Lu family puppet guard squad along. 3 second-rank puppets, 36 first-grade top-level puppets, can form a simple formation that even ordinary foundation establishments would find hard to escape. This situation has directly elevated the fame of the Lu family puppets. At this moment, many forces finally realized that the main business of the by Lake Mountain Lu family wasn't elixir medicines or talismans, but puppets. Right now, by Lake Mountain. Huff huff huff. The nature's spiritual energy at Bai Yun Peak was suddenly stirred, gradually forming a vortex. Someone is attempting foundation establishment. For the Lu family disciples and cultivators, this situation was not unexpected. Since the Lu family offered to refine foundation building elixirs and do it for free, cultivators have been continuously coming to Bai Lake Mountain for elixirs and foundation establishment attempts. Therefore, for over a year now, several people have been attempting foundation establishment at Bai Lake Mountain, making it unclear how many foundation establishment cultivators are actually at Bai Lake Mountain. Sir the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After all, when attempts at foundation establishment are made, who knows if it's a loose cultivator or a Lu family disciple? Phew! However, several hours later, the spiritual energy vortex in the sky suddenly dissipated. Failed. Many who witnessed this scene shook their heads and sighed. Even though there were many attempts at foundation establishment in Bai Lake Mountain over the years. But even with foundation building elixirs, the success rate was only 30 to 50%. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible.